When 6,865 players walked into the room, the dream was just forming. With 22 remaining, the dream is nearing reality. What if?
What if I won?
What if you won it all?
$8.7 million. It's a very good question.
Go on vacation for 6 months and start from there.
Probably look to start a family soon.
I don't think it'd change my life that much.
22 champions in waiting, each looking to make that last push for the bracelet. The chance to win it all is closing in. Welcome to the final day before the final table of the World Series of Poker Main Event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky.
Still in the main event with 22 left. Things could be worse. I guess I could have 25 million. Things could be better.
Phil Collins seems loose as the remaining players file into the Amazon room on day 8.
Let's make things happen.
Kenny Shee will try to make it happen in his familiar cowl hat.
I have a good stack. I'm only 5 million short of average final table, so let's pick up a few chips and make the newer 9. We'll go from there.
A bit nervous actually, but we'll see what happens. All good.
Costa Rica's John Hewitt joins American Ben Lamb and German Pius Heinz. Little Rock's Sam Barnhart is hunting a big final table payday.
Ready to rock and roll.
Indeed, it is time to make that final push to the final 9. 6,865 players started, just 22 remain right now. Ukrainian Anton Makiievskyi leads the way.
The 21-year-old looking to become the youngest ever to win the main event.
Ben Lamb's amazing World Series keeps getting better.
The Player of the Year leader looking to make his 4th final table of this World Series.
Bryan Devonshire is not letting the pressure get to him.
I don't have to give you 10%.
I don't care.
Play about to get underway for Devo and the other 21 players. As we said, Makiievskyi on top. Eoghan O'Dea is in second. The top 5 come from 5 different countries.
Ukraine, Ireland, Canada, Russia, and the U.S. in that order. This used to be an American game. Where did it all go wrong?
The blind's at 100,000, 200,000. The ante is the same as the original starting stack, 30,000.
Ben's like, I don't mind.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna have 2 towers of chips? Or
No, I'm gonna try to move them all over here. You think so?
First place, $8.7 million, and by the end of this day 8, we will have a November 9.
Folded around to Martin Staszko in the small blind with ace-jack offsuit. He raises to 400,000. John Hewitt in the big blind with the king-6 of spades. And he'll come along, heads up.
Blind versus blind, Costa Rica versus Czech Republic. It would be blind versus blind versus blind if we had the super blind.
The flop now, 8, queen, 8. Ace high for Staszko, he checks. King high for Hewitt, he checks. Turn card now. Another queen. Staszko keeps his advantage with the 2 pair on board and his ace kicker. He checks again. They both check.
Lon, I didn't come here to watch check all night.
No, only Staszko is from the Czech Republic. Of 4 of clubs on the river. Hewitt misses, so Staszko is best, and he bets 475.
That's not a bluff. I think Staszko figures ace high is good.
With the 2 pair on board. Hewitt with king high calls, and he will hand chips over to Martin Staszko.
Hewitt thought it was a bluff.
But Staszko ends up with the best of it, and he'll stack the chips.
He bet or he bet?
Ace high bet.
He bet I called.
Yeah, box bust though, right?
A while ago.
Yeah.
A while ago, yeah. It's all a blur at this point. This is like day 14 of this thing or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I've been next to you, Lon, for way too long.
With one more day of play until the November 9 crystallizes, the main event grind is taking its toll. Of the remaining 22 players, Norman, only Ben Lamb has made it this deep before. He did that in 2009, perhaps giving him some unique insight into just how difficult this day will be.
The main event's such a tough, grinding marathon. It seems it's only for young legs. Just one player remains over the age of 50, Little Rock's Sam Barnhart. And Sam is tired. He couldn't even answer what he'd do with $8.7 million. Hey, Sam, we're both AARP eligible, so let me help here. Just give me the 0.7, and I'll point you in the right direction with the remaining $8 million. Now, go win this thing, buddy.
At the 8-handed secondary table, Ukrainian Anton Makiievskyi has the big stack, while American Chris Moore is working the short stack.
I think it's a bit better down here, don't you? It's not quite as hot. I feel a bit more.
I feel more comfortable here, actually.
I feel a bit less surrounded. But
it's less. It's just poker.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit more cozy.
She and Holden sound like they prefer the slightly quieter surroundings of this table's location. $8.7 million to the winner, the fourth biggest top prize in World Series history. The current payout of $302,000 is impressive, but so much more to be won if you can climb the money ladder.
Yeah, $300,000 seems nice for a week's worth of poker, but you're so close to truly life-changing money.
Folded to Lars Bonding at the secondary table with pocket aces on the Jack Link's beef jerky hole cam.
Bonding 273rd at the 06 main event, worth $39,000. Chump change.
$455,000 is the raise from Bonding.
The first year the main event champ earned $1 million was 1991, Brad Doherty.
And the hat, Gianni Demers with Queen 8. And he will give way to Chris Moore.
Moore stacked devastated when Makiievskyi flopped a full house on him late on day 7.
He's down to $3 million. He folds to the button. Khoa Nguyen with ace-jack. He makes the call. In the small blind, Kosta Mamaliadis with pocket 4s.
Importer-exporter, worked as an intern at Art Vandelay Industries in 1994.
He makes the call. Kenny Shee folds his big blind, so three-way action to the flop. Three of the older guys remaining in this main event. There's the flop. Tray 4-7, just the flop Mamaliadis was looking for. He's going to wait and see if the others want to put chips in the middle. Bonding with his pocket aces.
Quite comfortable with that flop.
$550,000. He better be careful. Now to Nguyen.
Nguyen thinks his ace might be good here. It would not be.
And he will get out of the way. So back to Mamaliadis.
An amateur from South Africa. He describes his company as the Walmart for ships. Right now, Kosta has the Neiman Marcus of hands.
And it looks like he wants to play for a little more. Kosta with a raise to $2.3 million.
All in.
All in.
All in and a call. Bonding in trouble with the pocket aces.
Bonding about to be served his exit papers courtesy of the shipper.
Lars Bonding staring at the dagger-like reality of elimination. Mamaliadis flopped big. 9 of diamonds is no help to Bonding.
And remember, Nguyen had an ace, so only one ace left in the deck for Bonding to stick around.
The river card. The 8 of clubs. Mamaliadis wins it. Lars Bonding knocked out.
Tough player, has to say goodbye.
What a great fall of the cards from Mamaliadis, and he winds up with all of Lars Bonding's chips.
Mamaliadis taps his finger to his nose, which I believe means your product will come as soon as this event is over.
Bonding wins $302,000. The $13 million plus stack of the South African amateur includes 3 chip colors. The orange chip worth $5,000, the $25K green chip, and the most coveted chip right now, the $100K purples.
In ancient Mesopotamia, King Nebuchadnezzar married the daughter of Cyrus just for the purple chip dowry her family offered.
Almost 206 million chips total in play right now. 3 tables in action, each 7-handed. Ace-king for Andrey Pateychuk. The Russian with a raise to $400,000.
And of course, Lon, there's the old Babylonian wives' tale that if you skinny dipped in the Euphrates River after midnight, you'd find purple chips in your bed when you got home.
Fold it around to Ben Lamb in the big blind, Queen Jack. 26-year-old makes the call. And he will go heads up against Pateychuk, who's going to school in Russia. 4, Queen 4. Lamb outflops Pateychuk, scoring queens up. They both check. Turn card. Another 4. Lamb with a full boat now. That's a comforting feeling. $550,000. Pateychuk with ace-king comes along.
Well, this is like the earlier Staszko Hewitt hand where you might think your ace-high is good.
River card. 5 of spades. And the ace is no good. Lamb with the best hand.
And Lamb very comfortable betting his full house.
Lamb bets $1,125,000, half the pot.
If you're Pateychuk, 1, ace-high often is good in this spot, and 2, Ben Lamb often bluffs at it.
Does ace-king think he has a chance? Yes, he does. but sorry, no you don't. Lamb will take the pot.
What did you expect, Andre? It's the year of Ben Lamb.
Lamb climbs over 17 million, good for third place, passing the Russian on the leaderboard.
The year of Ben Lamb, Lon.
Pateychuk down to about 14 million chips now, and if there's one thing we've counted on during this main event, it's Ben Lamb raking chips. Welcome back to the 2011 World Series of Poker main event at the Rio. The hunt for the bracelet continues, with just 21 players remaining at the outer table. We're hearing that Bounahra from Belize just won a pot.
But I'll make a bluff sometime, you know? Yeah. Sometime.
How'd you beat?
I don't know.
I did. How'd you beat?
That's for the camera.
If I were a 49-year-old amateur in the main event with 21 players left, I'd be having a good time too.
Absolutely. Lars Bonding already gone from today's action. Folded to Ryan Lenaghan, whose first name is James, so he's already bluffing before he plays a hand. With Jack 10, he raises to 425. Pateychuk with King Jack.
How much you playing?
Like 10.5.
Pateychuk's a part-time sports columnist. He should have a notebook to write that down. That's what we do.
He's on the button. With a re-raise to 925,000, small blind, Eoghan O'Dea, ace-jack of clubs.
And that is a decent hand in the small blind. It's been 3-bet already, however.
The hand values increased at a short-handed table. We are playing 7-handed all around. And the Irish pro with a re-raise to 2.3 million.
What O'Dea is saying is this: Mr. Lenaghan, you were in late position. I don't believe you. Mr. Pateychuk, you were in later position. I don't believe you. I'm the small blind. I'm 4-betting. You better believe me.
You saw Lenaghan fold. And Pateychuk does likewise, and Eoghan O'Dea will pick up some more chips.
See, I speak Irish very well.
O'Dea will take another pot as he increases his lead on this table. The 4-better had the best hand, so a good play from the Irish pro, who has rebounded nicely from a dismal 2010.
I was definitely more focused this year. I think I didn't play well in any of the tournaments last year, and I think I was a bit fed up at the end of the series. It was not going well for me. Like this year, I've only played, I think I played 4 Holden events and cashed another 4. This is the 4th one, like, and just a lot more focused at the table, and just the main event's definitely like, obviously it's on show on the TV all the time, so it's a pretty massive event. I think it's seen like in every country you can watch it on the TV, so it'd obviously be big news in Ireland if you took the title down, yeah.
O'Dea says 2011 was looking like his worst year ever before the World Series, but he's turned it around.
An early position, Ben Lamb opened for 450,000 with pocket trays. Action on O'Dea with ace-king of spades.
Lamb with the small raise from early position. You see a lot of small raises here in the late stages for 2 reasons. Experienced players want to control the size of the pot, and they want to minimize luck as much as possible, and smaller pots help that.
O'Dea with position, re-raises to 1,150,000.
Sometimes the big stacks avoid each other, but here O'Dea in the mood to dance with Ben Lamb.
Devonshire folded a small blind. Staszko is big. Now back to Lamb, and he gives it up. And so O'Dea will take another pot without seeing a flop.
He's the chip leader now, but he hasn't played a lot of big pots.
Pretty serious today, huh?
Nice hands.
Indeed, O'Dea picking up cards early, allowing him to comfortably push the action. That's a great confidence builder. And with that, as you mentioned, O'Dea moves past Makiievskyi for the chip lead in the main event. Over to the secondary table, the blue jacket of Makiievskyi with ace-queen. 21-year-old could be the youngest ever main event champ, a raise to $500,000. Demers with queen 7. He folds to Chris Moore. Jack 10 off.
28-year-old Chicago pro.
Live earnings of almost $2 million.
Owen.
He says all in with his Jack 10. That's almost 3 million chips of his.
How much chips?
3 about.
Back to Anton.
About 3.
3, Paul?
And a call from Makiievskyi. Chris Moore needs to catch something to keep his seat.
Moore still stinging from his ace-jack, getting outflopped by Makiievsky's king-jack on day 7. Now he's hoping to turn the tables on Anton to keep his main event alive.
Makiievskyi trying to get us to 20 players here in the main event, the flop. And there's a 10 for Moore.
That's got to feel good to Chris Moore.
He is a solid favorite now over Makiievskyi. Turn card. King of clubs, more still ahead, but Makiievskyi with a Broadway draw.
And some concern on Chris Moore's face. So now an ace, queen, or jack would knock out Chris Moore.
The river card, a harmless 5, and Chris Moore will double up to $6.5 million.
Makiievskyi returns a few chips to Chris Moore.
At this point, I almost feel like I'm winning anything. It's all in.
Or Destiny's Child.
Moore with a lot of work left to be done, but a small measure of revenge as he keeps his main event bracelet hopes alive. Welcome back to the main event. Lon McCarron along with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Eoghan O'Dea, the chip leader with 21 players remaining. What a story that is.
Owen's father, Donica O'Dea, was the first non-American to make the main event final table in 1983. He did it again in 1991, and now Owen hoping to make them the first father and son to get to the main event final table.
Action on O'Dea, queen 6, and he will sit this one out. Bryan Devonshire on the button. Ace 6 off.
Devo trying to become the first former whitewater rafting guide to make the final table.
Devo with a raise to $450,000. The small blind, Martin Staszko.
Staszko would be the first from Czech Republic to make it to the main event final table.
Can he do it in a plaid shirt? That's the real question. He folds to the big blind, Hewitt.
Hewitt would be the second Costa Rican to make it. Umberto Branes did it in 1988.
Hewitt folds, so a weak ace on the button gives Devonshire the gumption to raise and take the pot. Devonshire in the middle of the pack here on day 8, but he's certainly one of the most adventurous players left in the field.
Bryan Devonshire, Custer County, Colorado. The cowboy side is a bit of who I am. I've always been, I guess, a little southern by nature and heart. I moved to Colorado in January of 2003. I was living in LA at the point, going to school at USC, and my choice was finish out another 3 semesters of school or take this job guiding full-time out here, and that was the direction I wanted my life to be going, was in the outdoors. So took the job opportunity, and here I am. Poker's been a part of my life. I mean, as long as I can remember. My family took trips to Vegas, and Grandpa retired in Carson City, and Dad always ran a home game, and we played nickel, dime, quarter, silly games and such like that, and no one can ever remember me losing. But poker was always a means to an end, so I could have seasonal jobs and play in the wilderness. On a typical day, I'll be up at about 7 a.m. We'll catch ponies to go round up the rest of the horses, drive them all to the corral, and then we'll get all the horses saddled up as necessary for whatever trips we got going on that day. The allure of the horses and just having them around is pretty captivating.
Devo once saved a woman's life when she fell out of a sweep boat. The current was pulling her away, and he grabbed her by the ankle. I believe that's a one-outer.
All right, the former poker dealer, youth pastor, and as you mentioned, rafting guide with Jack 10 off. And he will raise it up to $440,000.
I once saved my second ex-wife's life by leaving her.
To Staszko on the button with ace 7 of spades. And he will lay it down. Hewitt folds his small blind, Ben Lamb in the big ace 10 off. Lamb makes the call for $240,000 more.
Always double check your cards when your head's up against Lamb.
Devonshire and Lamb. Here is the flop. Jack 5. Jack Devonshire flops big. Trip jacks. Lamb checks to the razor. Bryan with a normal continuation bet, $560,000.
No slow play from Devonshire. And if Lamb were on a flush draw, Devo doesn't want to give him a free turn card. I like Ben's look a lot more when he's dressed in black or white.
Ben, check raises to $1,400,000. Norman, we haven't seen many cases of bad timing for Ben, but this is one.
Yeah, right here, Ben with the 6% hand. With Devo at about $6 million, it's either call or move all in here.
All in.
All in.
There's the all in.
With Lamb's cards, there's no room for anything here but a fold.
Good in.
And Ben Lamb does give it up. And Bryan Devonshire will pick up a few more chips.
Devo's back on the horse.
Indeed, Norman up to 10th place with almost 9 million chips. Devonshire and Lamb are two seasoned pros clashing, but that does not mean they are tell-free. Joe Navarro with some analysis on that last hand.
In this video, Ben at first looks very strong, but then immediately it falls apart. Let's look at it. Number one, his blink rate goes up. What does that say? I'm under stress. Why? I think I'm weak. Number two, you saw that hard swallow just right there. Very, very important. It says, boy, I'm just really struggling here. And the third one has to do with right here. This tells us something is bothering me. You see that finger holding back? That's a reluctance cue. And what he's saying is, I'm going to do it, but I'm reluctant to do this.
Alana, I have a very fast blink rate right now, and I'm swallowing hard. Do you know what that means?
What does that mean?
My eyes are dry, and I'm thirsty. Ask Devo if I can get a sip of his coffee.
There were no reluctance cues at any of your weddings, were there?
Good for you.
All right, let's go from the featured table over to the secondary table. Anton Makiievskyi is under the gun, or first to act. Makiievskyi looks down at ace 10.
Bad poker posture. He looks like he's about to order a whiskey sour in a hotel lounge.
He has about $2 million more than anyone else at this table. He raises to $450,000 to Chris Moore. Moore with two red kings.
And Chris has got to be thinking it's time to get a few more chips back from Makiievskyi.
He is not short stacked anymore. Does not have to shove automatically here. Moore with a raise, though, to a cool $1 million.
Working with about 7 now?
No, 6 and change, 6.1 maybe.
Kenny Shee now.
Oh, Kenny Shee squeezing quicker. My chat with him paid off.
Folded back to Makiievskyi.
Well, over the course of this main event, we have learned a few things. Ben Lamb is good, Bounahra has personality, and Anton Makiievskyi does not like to get pushed around.
All in.
And he re-raises Moore all in, and Moore quickly calls with the kings. A misstep by Anton.
And Moore still recovering from that 20 million chip pot he lost to Anton on day 7, now in position to out-chip Makiievskyi.
Anton looks like a burglar who got caught. All right, so here is the flop, and an ace in the window. Makiievskyi with a pair and more. The long shot now to stick around.
Moore is just Makiievskyi cursed.
The turn card, 7 of diamonds. That does not help Chris Moore.
Moore's got to hit a 2-outer here, or Makiievskyi has swept him out of this main event.
The river card is a queen, and that will end Chris Moore's main event journey at the hands of the man who hurt him so badly on day 7.
Chris Moore takes it well. Anton Makiievskyi back on top of the heap.
With almost 25 million chips, he bids farewell to Chris Moore, who wins over $302,000. Well done, Chris.
Twice Moore got outflopped by Anton. You got to feel for him.
Makiievskyi now leading the main event once again, where the pot of gold at the end is used to make the most coveted piece of poker jewelry.
What makes the main event so special?
Yes!
It's like our Wimbledon.
The utopia of poker.
It is poker's Super Bowl, and it feels like we're in the 4th quarter and have a shot right now.
I'm feeling very Olympic today.
I am here to get to the final table.
This is an extremely difficult marathon.
It can break down anyone.
Maybe the most brutal day in a poker player's year is the day we get knocked out of the main event.
When you're going deep, it's unbelievable.
It's exhilarating, it's exhausting, it's nerve-wracking, and it's the best experience for any poker player.
Oh, 8.7 million. That's what makes the main event so special.
For more on the World Series of Poker, log on to ESPN.com/poker.
I've often called it the last great American gold rush, and Lon, the main event remains a singular spectacle.
Here at the featured table, Staszko on the button with 8-7 of clubs.
Staszko from Trinnick. This main event field, 1/6 the size of Trinnick.
He is normally a very snug player. He raises to 425. Ben Lamb with a Jack Links beef jerky wild card hand.
From the big blind, I'll put Ben on an ace. Ace 8.
He called heads up for queen ace. Staszko with the flush draw. Lamb checked to him. Staszko bets 525,000. And a call from Lamb.
No, Ben called him in a flash. He's got the ace. Next case.
Turn card is an 8. Lamb checks.
Oh, he checked aces and 8s. Tricky.
Staszko with a pair of 8s and a flush draw. He checks. The river card. Jack of hearts. Staszko misses his draw.
Somebody's a dead man, and it's not me or Ben. Lamb's either got aces up or a busted flush draw straight draw. I finally feel almost in tune with Ben Lamb.
Lamb bets $1,350,000.
Now, as we know, Staszko has the busted flush draw, but his pair of 8s could be good. Lamb has been diagnosed with a chronic bluffing disorder.
Staszko has invested $1 million already in this hand. But he lays it down. Ben Lamb still running good. Aces up to win the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Wild Card hand. Well done, Norman.
Oh, yeah? Who's your daddy? I am the wild card king.
Staszko in 17th place now with $5.5 million. Still looking warily at Ben Lamb, wondering if Lamb was bluffing there. Ben is one of the most active players in this main event, and that activity has led to some serious chip accumulation over the course of the main event. Top 10 in chips at the end of the last 3 days, and currently he's in 4th place.
His strength, he puts you in awkward spots. Ben Lamb always keeps you guessing.
Ben knows very well that he has to put his chips to work to win chips, and that's exactly what he does. Action on Bryan Devonshire, first to act here on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky hole cam with 2 queens.
Devo borrowing Lon McCarron's San Francisco Giants baseball cap.
He knows how to back a winner. A raise to $420,000.
Well, they won once in the last, 30 years, 40 years,
70
years?
They won once. That's all you need to know. Staszko folds. Hewitt gives it up. Lamb will not play this hand. On the button, Ryan Lenaghan with ace-9 off.
I'm all for packing lightly, but doesn't Lenaghan have a different sweatshirt?
Lenaghan with some purples there. A re-raise to $1,050,000 to find out how serious Devo really is.
Well, we have seen Ryan Lenaghan engage in some nasty pre-flop raising wars.
The blinds fold back to Devonshire now with the queens.
And Devonshire with his serious thinking cap on at the moment.
Let's see how much of a giant Lenaghan has awakened with his re-raise.
All in.
Wow, all in for over $8 million. And a last glance at the cards as Lenaghan folds.
Lenaghan raised to find out if he had the best hand. He did not. It was an easy fold.
Bryan Devonshire still in 10th place. 9.7 million chips. It's been a pretty good day 8 so far for him. His fiancée Corey Henson is on the right, along with Katrina Blank, and a lot of Devo's friends following his activity here on day 8. And Norman, take a look at what we have going at the outer table. Scott Schwalik in the middle woke up with aces, called the pre-flop raise of Alexander Moshnikov with kings. Action now on Pius Heinz, who has pocket queens.
Do not adjust your TV sets. This is not a scene from a James Bond movie. Those cards are correct. Heinz can get aggressive with queen deuce. No telling what he might do with queen queen.
Oh, here we go. A re-raise to $1,125,000 now to Moshnikov.
Moshnikov can get aggressive with a king and a Hallmark greeting card. No telling what he'll do with king king.
He 4-bets it to $1,700,000.
And Schwalik in the middle of a poker dream and hopes he never wakes up.
Moshnikov raised less than the minimum, but nobody notices. Schwalik says all in for almost $5.5 million.
A 5-bet all in. That's probably a wake-up call for Heinz's queens.
Wow, he gets rid of the queens, and rightly so. Moshnikov makes the call. Moshnikov shows his kings, which are second best to Schwalik's aces. Wow, what a hand.
Heinz glad he's out of that storm. Schwalik, 23-year-old Ohio pro at risk. Moshnikov, 25-year-old Russian pro, stands to lose 80% of his chips here unless he gets lucky.
So the aces and kings doing battle for 12.5 million chips. The flop, 8-10-7. That's a pretty safe flop for the aces. Moshnikov will be left with crumbs if he loses. Turn card, 4 of diamonds. Brings Schwalik a little closer to a huge pot.
Schwalik looking to dodge a king.
River is a tray. The patient Scott Schwalik comes up big.
If you're ever curious what a one-person rail sounded like, there you have it.
Thanks to the contribution of Heinz, Schwalik more than doubles up. He's now in 7th place. And talk about someone dodging bullets. Pius Heinz' radar was working at full bore right there. Lucky him. Moshnikov down to 6 big blinds, becomes the short stack in the room. Scott Schwalek could not have drawn it up any better. He is back in the hunt. Welcome back to the Rio and the 2011 World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarron along with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. On the leaderboard, the youngest has the most. 21-year-old Anton Makiievskyi on top. Scott Schwalek now in contention. Phil Collins right now in 9th place.
They're all young. You have to be at least 21 to play in the main event. Pretty soon, maybe they won't let you play if you're over 30.
Khoa Nguyen would still qualify. He's 29 years old. With King Jack, he raises to $450,000.
Mamaliadis, 34. He could be barred from future main events.
Kenny Shee,
30 years old. He's through.
He folds. In the small blind, Sam Holden, still got a few years left.
22's okay.
He folds to Makiievskyi now. We know he's 21. He'll be here a long time under those rules. King Deuce.
21 and could become the youngest to win the main event. He's got a rag hand in the big blind.
Nguyen with a raise to $450 already.
Makiievsky's stubborn like a teenager. Of course, he was a teenager about 15 minutes ago.
Well, he's getting a lot of purples out there. Does he read weakness in Khoa Nguyen, or is this just Anton being Anton? A re-raise to $1,000,001.
Makiievskyi has been a delight to watch. Nguyen's a part-time pro, full-time businessman. Owns a restaurant and some rental properties.
So Nguyen needs $650,000 to call, and that's what he does.
I don't love that call. At least he's in position against the mad scientist.
Heads up, 2 big stacks. Ace, deuce, 6. Makiievskyi pairs his lowly kicker to grab the advantage.
Makiievsky's first main event. First time in Las Vegas. First time in the U.S. I think he's coming back.
No doubt. So Makiievskyi with a handful of purple chips, and he will bet $1,100,000.
Nguyen knows Anton is aggressive. Nguyen knows his king high here could be good.
Makiievskyi got the smallest piece of that flop. Nguyen missed entirely.
2.5.
And he's going to bluff at it, though. A raise to $2.5 million.
I like that play. Score 1 for the University of Calgary grad. Of course, no insta-fold from Anton. Perhaps the University of Calgary not the proper training ground to take on Makiievskyi.
So Nguyen trying to turn the tables on Anton. He puts pressure back on the Ukrainian. Oh, but Norman, no one does it like Anton. A re-raise to $6 million. Take that, Khoa.
How do you get that fearless that young? Maybe it's because you're that young, you're that fearless.
So Makiievskyi doing here after the flop what he did pre-flop.
Well, I'd love to see Nguyen 4-bet him here, but I couldn't do it. Makiievsky's like Ben Lamb with a visa.
Khoa Nguyen with just king high, as you mentioned. Whether he believes or not, does he really want to commit this many chips here? No, he decides to fold, and Makiievskyi wins that battle of wills.
Big stack, big bully, big man.
Makiievskyi with $29.5 million. Now nobody can play with this guy. Khoa Nguyen, Anton's latest victim in a high-level battle of big stakes. Here is 11-time bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth to break down that hand we just saw.
Okay, here's what you can do with the great read. You can win free chips and become super aggressive. That's what you can do with a great read, unless, unfortunately for Nguyen, your opponent has an even greater read on you. And that's poker. Sometimes it's a game of 2 cars coming at each other. Chicken! Well, Nguyen chickened out in this hand. But Makiievskyi made 2 great reads there. The first great read, he raised before the flop with king deuce. And he really should have had Nguyen fold. The second great read is when he was raised on the flop, he took it to the next level. That is picking up $2.5 to $3 million in chips because you have a great read and you have the heart, aggression, determination to back that read up.
Makiievskyi, 21 years old, and just looks like he's headed to the mall to see Harry Potter.
All right, back to the only outer table left in play. Bob Bounahra of Belize bet $675,000 after flopping 2 pair. He's on the right. On the left, Phil Collins caught just a pair of jacks. And Collins raises Bounahra all in.
As usual, Bounahra on a short stack with a decision.
With 2 pair.
I call.
He does call all in. And heads for the cheap seats.
Bounahra with a little attitude there. Bob a bit excitable. Phil Collins always businesslike.
Jack on the turn would be good. Jack, just get it over with.
When Bob's all in, he prefers to be elsewhere.
I don't want to do that now.
What's the bottom of King Jack? Jack 5-6. I don't have the best hand.
All right, here we go. Turn card is at 10. Bounahra still ahead. 1 card to come.
If Bounahra doubles up here, he's going to have more chips than Collins.
Yeah, he's hiding somewhere. Good luck, Bob.
A king, jack, or 10 knocks out Bounahra.
The river card is a 4. Bounahra doubles again.
Yes, baby! Yes! 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 That's it! That is it!
Bounahra back in business.
That is it!
That's it, huh?
As you mentioned, he passes Phil Collins, who's in 11th place now. Can you believe that?
Bounahra trying to become the first Belizean to make the main event final table.
In 10th place with almost 10 million chips. Bob is thrilled about that, as is his daughter.
You're still on me, sir? You're the man.
He barely made it through day 7, but Bounahra seems to have found his stride here on day 8, winning chips that have some real power now. The French came through again as Antonin Tessier was the 4th player from France to win jewelry in 2011. This one coming from the $5,000 triple chance no limit hold'em event. It was beginner's luck for David Sincontico, who played his first ever World Series tournament in the $1,500 pot limit Omaha high-low event and brought home the bracelet.
It's been an amazing journey. I have good friends and I had a good time, and good luck to win this event. I'm so happy.
How do you win a bracelet your first time out? I've tried 19 times, haven't even been close.
A lot of firsts for the remaining 20 players. This main event marks the first World Series cash for 6 of them. Only 3 players have double-digit World Series cashes: Lamb, Devonshire, and Matt Giannetti. And one of those first-time World Series cashers is Anton Makiievskyi, the 21-year-old who's currently the chip leader, guaranteed over $302,000. There is Bryan Devonshire under the gun, first to act, ace-jack of spades.
This is Devo's 11th World Series cash.
Devo raised it to $420,000 on the Jackling Speed Rookie hole cam. Jack deuce of diamonds for Staszko, but they're in the muck now.
Of course, Phil Hellmuth, the most World Series cashes in history with 84.
In the small blind, Andrey Pateychuk with pocket 5s. He's a semi-pro volleyball player back home in Moscow, Russia.
Semi-pro volleyball player. I guess that's like a semi-pro poker commentator.
He makes the call for $320,000. In the big blind, Irish pro Eoghan O'Dea with pocket 6s, and he'll come along.
3 players in the hand, Lon. They all can't win. Semi-pro poker commentator.
All right, here we go to the flop. 9 Queen 9 O'Dea remains the hand to beat. No help for Pateychuk. He checks. O'Dea checks. Devonshire checks as well.
It's a draw-heavy flop.
Turn card. 4 of spades. Devo picks up a flush draw. Pateychuk with a 5% hand. But chips in hand, some of each color. $655,000. O'Dea folds.
The hand that's behind bets, the best hand folds, and now the only draw thinks.
Devonshire with the draw, studying his Russian opponent. And Devo will make the call.
Devo actually getting the right price to call there.
A lot of cards in the deck can still win it for him. Tray of hearts. Devo bricks the river. Pateychuk has the best of it.
Andrey originally bet when he had the worst of it, so I believe he's supposed to bet now when he has the best of it.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's semi-professional poker commentary.
And he is going to bet $1,125,000.
Devonshire missed his draw, so he's supposed to fold.
And Devonshire does just that, and the pre-flop long shot, Pateychuk takes the pot.
Semi-professional volleyball player plays poker pretty good, and the semi-professional poker commentator commentates on poker pretty good, if I may say so myself.
Pateychuk with $13.2 million. At the secondary table, Gianni Demers raised all in with ace-5 on a short stack. He was called by that man, Kosta Mamaliadis, with pocket kings. Demers on his feet, perhaps with one last swig from the fountain of main event survivors. The flop 10 queen 8, Mamaliadis still good.
The 23-year-old Demers was down to under 12 big blinds.
Turn card now. 6 of spades, Demers 1 card from elimination.
Demers looking for a 3-outer. Mamaliadis listening to his one-man rail.
It's a 7 on the river. Gianni Demers eliminated from the 2011 main event.
He was a kid with a dream.
Demers from New Jersey wins $302,000 for his first World Series cash, 20th place in the big one. It is a cruel fact of the main event that when you get short, you have to gamble. Demers out as Mamaliadis gets stronger. Welcome back to the Amazon room as the field continues to shrink. We started day 8 with 22 players. Lars Bonding was the first to go. Chris Moore followed him when his kings didn't hold up. And just before the break, Gianni Demers' ace-5 fell to the kings of Kosta Mamaliadis. Now just 19 players are left. With one more elimination, the outer table will be gone, and just 2 nine-handed tables will be in play. Folded here to Andrey Pateychuk, ace-jack. A raise to $400,000, the minimum raise.
All day we've seen a lot of small pre-flop raises. Min raises are close to it. I think it's time people started to man up.
Martin Staszko on the button. Ace-4 into the muck in the small blind. John Hewitt folds. Lamb with king-jack will come along for $200,000 more.
And of course, with the min raise, you allow the big blind in for cheap.
All right, heads up, Lamb and Pateychuk. The flop, deuce, jack, tray, all hearts. Lamb with a pair of jacks and a flush draw. He checks. Pateychuk, top pair, top kicker. He checks. Turn card, another heart, and Lamb turns the flush.
It's good to be Ben Lamb.
Ben with 4 purples, that's $400,000.
Lamb was dominated pre-flop, behind on the flop, and bang, his opponent is drawing dead on the turn.
But Pateychuk does make the call. River card, pairs the board, another 6. And it's going to cost Pateychuk more now, $1.2 million. And Andrey gives it up.
Pateychuk wasn't convinced he was beat on the turn, but then decided on the river, yeah, I'm toast. He's Ben Lamb.
Lamb's natural game is to keep pressure on his table mates, and that can work very well at this stage of the main event. Pateychuk down to $13.2 million.
And Ben Lamb continues to carve out a World Series to remember.
Working up to a 19 million chip stack right now. At the outer table, Sam Barnhart raised with ace-10. Action on short stacked Alexander Mozhnikov. Mozhnikov with king, queen of hearts moves all in. Sam wants a count.
Mozhnikov with less than 8 big blinds left.
Barnhart started the hand with only about 4 million.
So you like it or you don't?
Barnhart getting 2.5 to 1 on a call here. It's for 25% of Sam's stack.
The amateur does take his time with every decision.
965 call.
I call.
And for just shy of $1 million, Barnhart will make the call to put Mozhnikov at risk and Sam ahead.
Yeah, the oldest player left always takes a little time, as you mentioned, before making the call.
I know whom are you cheering.
Barnhart could get us to 18 players. 4 tray, 4 no hearts. Barnhart ahead with ace high.
Mozhnikov swimming upstream against Barnhart's ace-10.
Turn card, jack of diamonds. Sam still good.
Mozhnikov needs a king or queen or he is wamboozled.
The river card, the deuce of diamonds. Mozhnikov will hang his gone fishing sign.
Sam doesn't look a day over 50.
Barnhart scores the knockout. So Mozhnikov finishes in 19th place, $302,000, completing his World Series with 5 cashes for the summer. Barnhart now in 14th place as he crests the 6 million chip mark. So we're down to 18 players, just 2 tables as we reach a key benchmark here on day 8. 21-year-old Anton Makiievskyi remains in the lead. Ben Lamb has chipped up nicely. Mamaliadis and Schwalik making some decent gains as well.
And the old fogies are holding on, 49-year-old Bounahra and 51-year-old Sam Barnhart.
Right now, let's go down to Kara Scott, who is with the current chip leader.
Anton, let's talk about your chip stack. You're coming in here to the final 2 tables with the chip lead. What's going through your head?
Just like yesterday, nothing's going through my head. I'm just trying to win more chips, trying to play my best game. I'm not actually trying to put a lot of pressure to my opponents because there are a lot of young opponents that understand a lot, so I'm mixing my game.
And you think you have a pretty good read on the final 18 players, the other 17?
No.
Well, I guess we will see. Thank you so much.
There is no more difficult road to navigate than the road to the November 9. On this road, players don't cruise, they bob and weave.
Okay.
Brutal. I love you.
Whoa!
They know you don't mess with Texas.
Do I think I'm a dark horse? No.
Or the luck of the Irish. They are wary of lambs slaughtering lions.
You can't live outside the moment, you have to live in the moment. Play every hand as well as you can.
And they know that against all odds, the youngest one left is ahead of them all. Yeah. The road is rough, rugged, and ruthless, but if the finish line can be reached, the reward will be worth the ride. Welcome back to Las Vegas, home of the 2011 World Series of Poker Main Event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. 18 players left, 2 tables left. Eoghan O'Dea showing the poker world the Irish aren't just lucky.
20 years ago, his father made the main event final table a second time. Eoghan now trying to get there a first time.
So last night I met your dad and he did the Devo dance.
Did he? What is that?
I'm not really sure, but it was pretty funny because your dad's like, yeah, I want you to make the November 9. We'll do the Devo dance. He starts bouncing around like this, like, I am not man, we are Devo. I'm like, who is he?
He's going nuts.
There is excitement in the room as the November 9 creeps closer with every elimination. Ben Lamb has been steady as they come.
Oh, I've seen him lose 2, maybe 3 pots over the last year.
It's good to be 21 and from the former Soviet Union.
Makiievskyi from Ukraine, Pateychuk from Russia, both of them from a far better poker place than I.
Anton Makiievskyi is the chip leader by about 8 million, with O'Dea trailing at second. Phil Collins, whose dad did the Devo dance, is in ninth. The average stack over 11 million.
The dinosaur in the field, 51-year-old Sam Barnhart, has some work to do to get Little Rock represented in the November 9.
All players pointing towards the $8.7 million top prize. Lamb and Makiievskyi at opposite ends of our feature table.
Anton, what we do, let's make sure we look at each other in the entire hand. It's fun.
Makiievskyi, the young face of the chip leader. Action on Bounahra from Belize. He sits out. Makiievskyi with ace-jack offsuit.
He's trying to become the first Ukrainian to make the main event final table, and of course he would be the youngest ever world champion. He'd have Joe Cata beat by about 3 months.
His reads have been strong, instinct sharp. The pressure has been intense. A raise to 450,000. Sam Barnhart with Jack-8 of spades on the button.
From the youngest to the oldest here, Barnhart turned 21 10 years before Makiievskyi was born.
Sam sits with 6.2 million, and he will make the call. In the small blind, Pateychuk folds. Lamb in the big, and he'll lay down. So heads up, Makiievskyi and Barnhart.
Makiievskyi in aquamarine, Barnhart in razorback maroon.
All right, here's the flop. Deuce, ace, 7, 2 spades. Top pair for Makiievskyi. Barnhart with a spade flush draw. Makiievskyi checks.
Barnhart trying to disguise his shock that Makiievskyi didn't continuation bet.
Check back. Turn card 9 of diamonds. Makiievskyi almost a 3-1 favorite now. Barnhart adds a gut shot.
With Barnhart checking behind him on the flop, Makiievsky's got to believe his aces are best right now.
And he will bet those aces 600,000.
Barnhart with a flush draw and a straight draw. If he were 30 years younger, he might be raising right here.
Barnhart, the World Series of Poker Circuit National Champion. He earned a bracelet for that. He makes a call.
Sam plays it conservatively. And of course, he is up against the big stack.
All right, the river card. Deuce of diamonds. Barnhart misses his draws. Makiievskyi will see if he can get any more out of Sam. And he bets $1,100,000.
You mentioned all of Sam's busted draws. Really nowhere for him to go here.
And Sam does lay it down, and the chip leader gets a little stronger. With a wry smile.
Yeah!
Ben Lem hates to see Makiievskyi getting stronger. Barnhart can ill afford to lose any chips now, down to about $5 million.
Знаешь, как круто, когда уже иностранцы. Подошел, кстати, американец, говорит, дуже добре.
You guys just say whatever you want between yourselves.
Whether by skill, luck, or likely some combination of the two, the final 18, just 0.3% of the starting field, are tantalizingly close to the November 9. Ukrainian chip leader Anton Makiievskyi has the inside track to the final table because of his impeccable timing, aggression, skill, and yes, some luck.
Lon, Makiievskyi 4-bets pots the way you and I limp into pots. Sure, sometimes he's very wrong and gets very lucky. But who among us is not very wrong and very lucky? So if I were Anton's poker coach, I'd tell him, go with what got you here, son. Keep attacking, keep assaulting, keep aggressing, keep 4-betting. Don't worry about limpers like me and Lon. We're losers.
I hate it when you tell the harsh truth, Norman. Let's get over to the secondary table.
I feel like we should have yearbooks and be like, have a bitch in summer, keep in touch.
What? Tags?
This is like the last day, like we're all done, yeah.
See you in November.
For 9 of them, Queen 6 off on the Jack Link's beef jerky whole cam for the Czech Republic's Martin Staszko.
In Trinnic, Martin Staszko was voted in his yearbook most likely to make the final 18 of the main event.
He raised it up to 425. Bryan Devonshire folds a small blind. Khoa Nguyen in the big blind with pocket sixes.
He travels several months a year. His next big trip will be to the Himalayas. Tough internet reception there.
He sits with approximately 12.5 million chips, and he makes the call. Heads up with Staszko. 7-9-9. Khoa Nguyen with 2 pair now.
It's a pretty good flop for pocket sixes. I might bet it.
No, he does not.
To each his own.
Staszko now. He checks. Turn card. 8 of hearts, each with the same open ender. Nguyen leads with his sixes still. He checks.
It's almost as if Nguyen is waiting for his pocket sixes to get beaten.
Staszko will put out a bet of 475.
Staszko is going to pretend that the sixes are beaten.
But they are not. And Nguyen makes the call. All right, river card is a queen. Staszko rivers queens up, and that will not make Khoa Nguyen happy. Nguyen checks a 3rd time. That's his best check of the hand. Staszko bets $1,080,000.
About half the pot. Nguyen has not liked his hand the whole way. Not sure why he'd like it much now.
Khoa Nguyen is beat if Staszko has any piece of that board, and we know he does. Trying to figure out the man from the Czech Republic, a call, and Staszko will win it with queens up.
Well, instead of betting the flop and the hand might have been over, Nguyen check calls the turn in the river and loses 15% of his stack.
And that gift to Staszko moves his stack up to 8.4 million as Khoa Nguyen drops to around 10 million. Let's get back over to the feature table.
I can't catch a break. Want to hear a real sad story? Me and my girlfriend over there were supposed to go to Turks and Caicos last night, but we had to miss the plane.
That's rough.
Yeah. I just paid for a $600 night hotel room last night. And I'm here.
Plays so tricky, spends so unwisely.
But you're happy, right?
You know, I thought we'll leave late day 7, and I booked like 3 weeks ago, you know? Late day 7 should be enough. And if it's not, I can tell a bad beat story on live television.
Well, that's the worst beat that Ben has taken all summer here. Folded to the chip leader, Makiievskyi. 5 tray of hearts, he'll fold.
By the way, you know it's a terrific heads-up match? Turks and Caicos versus Trinidad and Tobago.
Folded to Lamb in the small blind, ace-9 off.
Lamb's 2011 World Series has been surreal. He's cashed in his last 5 events here, including 3 final tables. So this would be his 4th final table in 5 events.
Raised to 525 to the lone Brit holdout in the main event. Sam Holden with ace-jack.
I'm all in.
And he moves all in, and a snap call from Lamb, and Holden in good shape.
Wish your hand wasn't as good. Your raise freaked me out a bit. Remember he's calling there, and raise folding there.
Well, because of their stack sizes, Lamb knew if Holden shoved, he would be calling.
All right, here is the flop, 7-8 deuce. Holden's kicker keeps him ahead.
This is Holden's first World Series. He's in great shape for his main event life, trying to hold off any Ben Lamb magic.
Turn card now. And that pairs Holden.
More outs.
And gives Lamb a gut shot.
Yeah, so Lamb now looking for a 10 to make a straight and send Sam Holden home.
The river card. The deuce of spades, and that allows Holden's hand to stand up, and he'll stick around a little while longer.
Yeah, 33 big blinds now for Holden. He's got some breathing room.
Give Lamb credit. He's not afraid to put his chips to work to try to improve his stack. Holden doubles to $6.75 million, still off the virtual final table. The top 9 stacks, but still with a seat here in the big one. Every year it seems the field gets younger. This year no different. 13 of the remaining 18 are 29 years old or younger. 16 of 18 are 35 or younger. Only Bob Bounahra and Sam Barnhart are on the other side of 40.
Last year we had the youngest main event final table ever. 8 of the 9 players were 20-somethings. We've got a shot at that again this year.
Ryan Lenaghan opened the action for $450,000 with King-Queen off to Makiievskyi on the button with pocket trays.
Phil Hellmuth had the youngest main event champion record for 19 years. Then Peter Eastgate broke the mark in 09. Then Joe Cata. And now Makiievskyi has a shot at it.
Makiievskyi, just a call. I did not know he had call in him.
How much you have? About 6 million?
Started with like 6.5.
Ryan Lenaghan, the one-time chip leader, has struggled of late.
Andrey Pateychuk in the big blind with Jack 8 of diamonds, calls for $250,000 more.
And Lenaghan here sandwiched by the 2 21-year-olds.
All right, 3 players. We'll see the flop. 5-5-10. That missed all 3. Makiievsky's pocket trays keep him in the lead. Pateychuk checks. Lenaghan now with 2 overcards.
And Lenaghan's going to take a stab at it.
$750,000.
Tough to push Makiievskyi around. And he's looking at Lenaghan like, you don't have a 5, you don't have a 10. Who are you kidding?
Makiievskyi with the trays and the 5s on board makes the call. Pateychuk folds his jack high. All right, so heads up to the turn. Makiievskyi now seems to be saying, why are you still in the hand with me? Turn card, deuce of diamonds, no help to Lenaghan.
Lenaghan eyeing his own stack. Where did all my chips go?
Yeah, no kidding. He checks.
Anton, do you want to look at Ryan or do you want to bet?
He checks. Option 3, river card. 4 of spades. Pocket trays are good enough. Check from Lenaghan, and a check.
King-Queen?
3s win.
Don't know if another bet could have won it for Lenaghan, but his stack is dwindling and he didn't want to risk it.
Another minor celebration for Anton. And Norman, as you alluded to, Lenaghan feeling more heat with every chip lost. Almost 20% of his stack disappeared in that hand, down to $5.1 million. And even though Anton is young, he does not think he plays like today's younger generation.
I think that now in 2011, there are a lot of players, young players, who think that 6 betting and bluff with blocker is really nice. That's not true. There was a lot of spots where I played just like a 60-year-old guy, but I think that was most profitable just because they just keep calling and 3 bets with a3 and keep 4 betting me with ace5. Why do I need to play such hands when I just can wait for queens and push it all in?
Well, we have seen Anton 3-bet and 4-bet bluff, but apparently he draws the line and occasionally puts on his 60-year-old guy sunglasses.
Over at the other table, Bryan Devonshire was dealt ace-king. He is faced with a raise to 425. John Hewitt did that with his pocket sixes. Devo starting the hand with a little more than $8 million, and he re-raises to $1,080,000. Eoghan O'Dea, the Irish pro, gives up his small blind. In the big blind, Phil Collins looks down at King Jack and tosses those in the muck. Hewitt now.
Hewitt, 23-year-old Costa Rican, born in Chicago.
He's lived in Costa Rica for most of his life. And the bigger stack with the 4-bet to $2.1 million.
2.1 million.
All in.
Devonshire comes back over the top, all in, and Hewitt quickly mucks.
And Hewitt just gave up about 20% of his stack without seeing a flop.
So Devo slaps down the bigger stack and picks up over $2.5 million new chips.
I tell you, it's tough to get work in that type of garb.
So Devo picking up a little steam while Hewitt may be steaming for 4-betting with that hand. So Hewitt drops down to 9th place right on the precarious edge of the November 9. Makiievskyi has extended his lead. He's up over $12 million on Eoghan O'Dea. The average stack at the final table will be almost $23 million.
With Makiievskyi having 16% of all the chips in play right now, he's really the only one who can feel November 9 comfortable, and even he could miss getting there.
Devonshire with ace-queen of spades.
Devo put on his sweatshirt, perhaps to protect himself against a cold deck.
He raises to $440,000. Eoghan O'Dea with pocket kings.
O'Dea always seems to have the same temperament at the table, and that's a good thing.
O'Dea just calls with the kings. Methinks he has an evil plan in the works.
Yeah, I don't trust a man, Lon, who smooth calls with pocket kings from the cutoff seat. Never have!
Scott Schwalek in the big blind with Jack-6. And he will give it up. And so Devonshire with the ace-queen against the pocket kings of O'Dea. All right, the flop. 7-6-4. Devonshire missed that, and he checks.
No continuation bet from Devonshire. How's O'Dea going to smooth call again if there's no bet?
Well, is there such a thing as a smooth check? Turn card, another 4. Devonshire now reaching for chips.
And Devo finally decides, I'm best.
He tests the waters with $330,000.
O'Dea's got Devo trapped. It's a fancy trap. It was built with a smooth call pre-flop and a check on the flop. It's a well-constructed trap for all seasons.
All right, now that O'Dea has Devo in the trap, what will he do with him? O'Dea raises to $900,000. Now, does Bryan think O'Dea is bluffing here? He has chips in hand. Well, there's the call from Bryan.
No, Devo not a believer, and the cost of non-believing can be high.
O'Dea's plan coming together even better now. 7 on the river, double pairs the board. And Devo checks now.
And O'Dea's got Devo right where he wants him.
Devonshire with the 2-pair on the board and the ace kicker. O'Dea has him crushed, though. A bet.
I call.
And a call.
Kings. Kings? Wow, that's a good hand.
Devo's shocked. He thought he was picking off a bluff, or at least splitting the pot with ace high.
1.4 million.
Good hand.
Eoghan O'Dea with the top stack at the secondary table gets a bit stronger as his tricky play catches Devonshire off guard. Devo down to $8 million and talking to himself.
I call.
Kings.
Kings? Wow, that's a good hand.
Before the break, Eoghan O'Dea slow-played kings to take nearly 3 million chips from Bryan Devonshire. Here's Phil Hellmuth on how he did it.
There's more than one way to play a big pair. As illustrated by the hand you just saw, a lot of people like to try to re-raise and play a big pot that way. But O'Dea showed you another way to do it. He trapped. He just called the raise before the flop. When Devo checked, O'Dea checked behind him with kings. He's really set this trap. And when the 4 came off and Devo bet, finally he sprung the trap. He raised it up, O'Dea did, and then on the river got paid off $1 million bet. He probably won $2.5 to $3 million that he would never had won if he would have re-raised before the flop. Sometimes with your big pairs, you need to trap your opponents.
Phil Hellmuth's favorite hobby is trapping inferior opponents.
Here at the secondary table, Kenny Shee opened the action to 525 with pocket eights. Folded over to Scott Schwalek in the small blind. He lays down to John Hewitt in the big blind with King Jack of clubs.
Lon, did you see me use the air quotes when I said trapping?
I did, yeah.
Learned that from the poker brat.
Hewitt makes the call for 325 more and will go heads up against Kenny Shee. The flop, ace, 6, 7, 2 clubs. Hewitt with the nut flush draw. He checks to the razor.
Shee primarily an online player, but his intensity just seems suited for live play.
His eights are best, but he's a slight underdog right now. He bets half the pot, 700,000. And Hewitt with a check raise to 2 million.
You see Shee's chips behind. He can't just call and fold the turn. Kenny's either all in here or folding here.
What's she have to start the hand?
Big moment for Kenny Shee. Oh, and there goes the cap.
We have seen Shee as a very excitable player. This is his biggest moment.
Hewitt without emotion. Shee an emotional wreck.
I'm all in.
A quick call from Hewitt, and Shee hates to hear that, but he'll be happy to see his eights are the best hand.
Oh, my head. Wow. Let's go.
Yeah, Shee didn't like the speed of Hewitt's call. Hewitt is favored with the club draw and 2 overs.
Come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
A lot of reasons for Shee to be worried. Hewitt has a lot of outs.
Boy, the wear and tear on Kenny Shee's insides.
All right, Shee at risk. The turn card. Oh, and Hewitt wastes no time as he turns the flush, and that will eliminate Kenny Shee.
And with a thud, Kenny Shee's main event is over just like that. He doesn't even get a sweat on the river.
Kenny Shee finishes in 18th place. His previous best live tournament payday was $29,000. He'll go home with almost $379,000 here.
Nice, Sam.
Look, man.
Yeah.
Look, guys. Good game, Kenny.
And a likable player leaves the room. Kenny Shee, well done.
I hope he doesn't drop his cow hat when he's cashing in his winnings.
Hewitt will stack almost 5 million newcomers into his bank, and now he's over 14 million. For more on the World Series, visit ESPN.com/poker. Back to the featured table on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Hole Cam. Pocket nines for Sam Barnhart.
Barnhart won $300,000 for the first ever World Series Circuit National Championship bracelet.
He's the short stack in the room with about 4 million, a raise to 550,000.
Barnhart says he relies on math more in cash games and on intuition more in tournaments. Whether it's cash or tournaments, I pretty much rely on my ATM card, which has a rather low limit line.
To Pius Heinz with pocket kings.
How much did you start the hand with?
You want to count?
Don't give him a count, Sam. He's a young, healthy man. He can eyeball your chips.
Well, Heinz does not have that many more chips than Barnhart.
I'm all in.
All in.
Heinz shoves for $5.5 million. Giannetti in the big blind.
It's tough to put Giannetti on an energy drink. It just doesn't seem to work.
I call.
Sam calls all in.
Good hand.
Sam sensed he might be beat, but he didn't want to fold with just 17 big blinds left.
Thank you. 1-9. You folded a 9?
Heard Pateychuk say he folded a 9, so the case 9 is Sam's best hope.
True story.
Nine's going to hit, though.
You probably make it straight, Sam.
Mine.
All right, here is the flop. Jack tray 4, no 9, no draw for Sam.
Heinz in great shape to bust Barnhart.
The turn card. 10 of hearts.
Good flop for you.
No help to Sam.
Need a 9.
Only the last 9 in the deck will save Sam Barnhart.
The river card is an 8, and Sam Barnhart's main event has come to an end.
It was a fun run for the 51-year-old software analyst.
He brought a lot of character and color to the main event. His impressive 17th place finish is worth almost $379,000. Congratulations, Sam Barnhart. So Heinz takes the last of Sam's chips, but that is not enough to put the German into the top 9. Anton Makiievskyi, O'Dea, and Lamb still running 1, 2, 3. Let's go down to Kara Scott, who was with Sam Barnhart.
Sam, you came in as one of the smaller chip stacks, not critical, but talk to me about how that influenced your decision making.
Well, obviously, it's going to influence anybody's decision making when it comes to your chip count versus the others. The guy next to me had 30 million in chips, and so the blinds are so high now where you've got to pick your appropriate spots and play them, and that's what happened. And obviously,
it's going so quickly out here. We're losing players at such a fast rate. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, probably a little bit. But at the same time, it's just there's so many chips in play. And I think that's making a big difference this time, is that even at 5, 6, 7 million, you're still on low. I mean, you still got, a few more people to go before you get to the November 9. Right. So they're going to have to play it up.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right.
Kara mentioned things are happening rapidly. Well, Ryan Lenaghan just re-raised all in with ace-8 of hearts. Action back to the original raiser, Sam Holden, with ace-queen of spades.
This would be for more than 2/3 of Holden's stack. I wouldn't snap call either.
1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 4.6, 4.6, 3.5. I call.
Holden makes the call and has Lenaghan in bad shape.
Lenaghan pushes with 23 big blinds left and runs into a better ace. Not much has gone right for the one-time chip leader for a long time.
You saw the grimace on Ryan's face. Both players are uneasy as Holden has most of his chips out there. Deuce 7-6. Holden picks up a flush draw.
And that further limits Ryan Lenaghan's outs.
The turn card. The 8 pairs Lenaghan, but it's a spade, and Holden's flush brings an end to Lenaghan's main event.
Big game, man.
He was active, he was aggressive, and he's a richer man for it. Great run.
The final table to circuit event this year falls just short of this final table. At Lenaghan's first main event, he earns a healthy 6-figure score.
Thanks,
and the payouts now go up.
$100,000 move up.
With that win, Sam Holden up to $11.7 million now. These players wanted it so badly, and it was so close. Now, just 6 eliminations until we have the November 9.
I call.
Ryan Lenaghan knew he was in trouble when Sam Holden said call, and the board ran out in Holden's favor. Sam risked 2/3 of his stack, and it paid off. At one point, Lenaghan was the tournament chip leader, now the 16th place finisher. On this list, Manoj Viswanathan, the only player eliminated on the day he was the chip leader. So Anton Makiievskyi enjoying quite a big chip lead, and he does chip tricks as well. As Ben mentioned, everyone gets a raise. The next 3 knockouts are worth $478,000. Pius Heinz with ace-deuce of diamonds.
He should have been gone on day 1 on a hand where he had the nut flush. He just called a river bet. His opponent had a straight flush. Pius says he just had a feeling.
Heinz, under the gun, raises to $425,000.
You and Ilan would have lost everything with that nut flush.
Anton Makiievskyi, the chip leader with 4 deuce.
4 deuce, but Anton's thinking, what the heck, I'm bored. Let me see if I can run over another sick and aggressive player with these rags.
Makiievskyi loves to challenge his opponents. He shouldn't even look at his cards. And he will challenge Heinz here. He re-raises to $1,100,000.
I can't recall the last time I 3-bet 4 deuce off for $1.1 million.
Lamb folds his small blind. Sam Holden in the big blind folds his small pocket pair. Back to Heinz.
Without question, Heinz and Makiievskyi, 2 of the most aggressive players we've seen. I'd like to propose a 3-handed cash game. Heinz, Makiievskyi, and Max Heinzelman. I'm thinking pay-per-view.
They could play for rolls. Now look at Heinz. He's taking back his original raise, and he repops it to over $2 million.
Wow.
How much you got behind? I think a little less than 8 million. A little less than 8 million? Yeah. If you want to count, then.
No, that's okay.
I'm sorry?
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. I just might 5-bet bluff you for the sheer sport of it.
Makiievskyi with 4 deuce. And he will give way to Heinz.
Oh, you know he wanted to bluff it. Heinz's deuce had a better kicker.
Well, that should boost his morale as he shows he won't get pushed around. A necessary quality here in the main event.
There are also like a pretty decent amount of really good players left. We have still like Ben Lamb, Phil Collins, you know, these guys. A couple of online guys that might not be well known to the general public, just like me, but like play really, really well, you know. So it's about, I think it's about half and half, maybe actually more really good players left than like soft spots in the tournament. So it's still like a tough field left.
It's definitely more than half and half of really aggressive players left in this main event. Lots of testosterone in the Amazon room.
Pius, born in Germany, now lives in Austria. We'll keep it here at the featured table. Andrey Pateychuk, Jack 10 of diamonds. From Moscow, Russia, a raise to 400,000, a min raise. King 7 for Ben Lamb. He'll sit this one out. Holden folds 5-4 to Heinz now. Heinz with 2 black aces.
You know, when Heinz gets dealt 5-7, I wonder if he appreciates the poetry.
Heinz 57. Oh.
Just 10 about, right?
Good day for you.
About 12. About 12? A little more than 12.
Heinz eyes his prey.
Pateychuk has Heinz slightly covered, but Heinz has the aces, and there's a re-raise to 1.1 million.
By the way, if Heinz had the Jack 10 suited, he would have re-raised to 1.8 million.
Back to Pateychuk now.
And this Jack 10 suited is not going anywhere either.
So Heinz wondering what Pateychuk will do next. And Pateychuk says, I don't believe you. He re-raises to over 2 million.
Well, when you have a madman's image like Heinz, you're going to get re-raised a lot. But sometimes madmen pick up real hands.
And Heinz thinking, I will make a believer out of you. He pops it to over 3 million.
Yeah, that 5-bet says, I'm mad, but I'm not crazy.
Pateychuk quickly folds, even though he was getting better than 5-1 on his money. Not interested in going up against the runaway train that is Pius Heinz, who now is over 13.6 million chips. He knows the field around him is very tough, but this pro seems to be up to the task. Back in Las Vegas for day 8 of the World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. 15 players vying for 9 seats. Action at the secondary table on Martin Staszko. Jack 9 of hearts.
Staszko comes from a chess background, very good chess player. He has an expert ranking, which is just below master.
He's the short stack in the room now, a raise to 425.
I play a little chess. I love when you get to king or crown somebody.
That's checkers.
Oh.
To Kosta Mamaliadis. And hello, South African Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand fans.
I was recently awarded an expert wild card hand ranking by my mother.
Congratulations. He's on the button. Staszko has already raised it up to 425. Mamaliadis calls.
Staszko had raised under the gun. That's usually a big hand. Maybe Mamaliadis is going to play pocket queens the way we saw O'Dea play pocket kings.
Ah, that would be sneaky indeed. So the blinds fold. So heads up, Staszko and the wild card hand, Mamaliadis. The flop, 9, Jack 8. Staszko hits top 2 pair.
Great flop for Staszko. 35-year-old versus 34-year-old here. The oldest players left other than 49-year-old Bob Bounahra.
Staszko, chips in hand. And he bets 575,000.
Kosta's either got a pair of 8s, a pair of jacks, pocket queens with a gut shot, or a 2-way straight draw.
That's your choice? He makes the call.
Well, I'm going to throw out A forever, and I'm still leaning to queens.
Another 8 on the board. Staszko has 2 pair jacks and 9s.
No, this happens to me all the time, Lon, at the poker table and away from it. The wrong card pairs on the board.
Staszko checks this time.
My mother would have told Staszko to still bet.
Kosta. He's the one that's going to put chips in first. 980,000.
Okay, I've ruled out A. I've thrown that out forever, but that could be a bad card for Staszko. I think Kosta's betting the pocket queens to pair it with a gut shot. Remember, Mamaliadis is an importer-exporter. He knows you have to export chips to import pots.
Oh, very nice. And a call from Staszko with his jacks and nines. Mamaliadis wondering what he's up to. Tray of hearts on the river.
Staszko staring at the board. A little more complex than a chessboard, huh? Huh?
Check. He does check.
I believe it is time for a value bet from my South African sunglasses on top of his head, import-export amateur.
Is it checkmate for Staszko, or does Mamaliadis have it? A bet of $1,080,000.
What a small wager. Staszko getting 5-1 on a call here. It's either a value bet or a value bet bluff. I say queens up value bet.
All right, so you say C. Staszko with a lesser two pair then.
Staszko playing this hand the way you'd expect someone wearing a short sleeve plaid shirt to play it.
Well, Staszko putting chips together. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
Call.
He makes the call. Mamaliadis had king 10, a busted straight draw, losing the Jack Links beef jerky wild card hand.
Oh, good call. And my mother's going to downgrade me to my brother's ranking, which is way below master.
Oh, bad beat for you.
Roll that hand, please.
I'm not wild card happy.
So Mamaliadis gives up some chips. Staszko no longer the short stack in the main event. He is sitting with over 11 million chips now.
I said roll that hand, please.
Devo had asked to see Mamaliadis' hand.
Since you have to show the winning hand, it's unfair for him to muck and conceal information when you have to reveal it.
Technically, Devo is right. I would have let it pass. Not good etiquette to ask to see the losing hand.
So with that pot, Trenik's Martin Staszko moves into 9th place. 8 different countries represented in the top 9. Only 5 million separates 3rd from 9th. Quite a different story at the top of the leaderboard. At the secondary table, Khoa Nguyen opened for $525,000 with Jack 10 of spades. Phil Collins, the big blind, called with Queen 8 of diamonds. The flop is Trey Deuce 7, 2 diamonds, Collins with a flush draw. The blinds are up this hand, $120,000, $240,000.
Collins electing not to push the draw out of position.
And Nguyen checks back. Turn card is the Jack of diamonds, giving Collins a queen high flush and top pair to win. Collins checks again.
The best players keep slow playing their opponents into oblivion. That's a nice check. I would have bet. Collins is going to get action from Nguyen, who's drawn dead.
Yeah, Khoa does dig a hole for himself with a bet of $625,000. And now Collins with the made flush.
Devo often disrobes when Collins and Nguyen are heads up.
Collins with the check raise to $1,450,000.
He must know Nguyen's tendencies well. I thought Phil might have just called there, but he doesn't think a raise will scare Nguyen away.
And it doesn't, and he calls.
These young pros are pretty tough. Phil Collins.
Collins knows Nguyen has something, another 7 on the river.
I think we're going to hire Phil Collins and Ben Lamb as professors at the Norman Chad School of Poker. We could use some new blood. Plus, I don't think we've ever had a winning instructor.
You can't go wrong there. Collins with a big stack of purple. That's $2.5 million.
The board pairing does not concern Collins. Nguyen's the one who ought to have a lot of concern.
We have seen Nguyen make a critical error on the river before.
Call.
And he makes another one here, paying off Phil Collins.
The Nguyen has called off a lot of chips a couple of times here on day 8, and the former chip leader is now chip challenged.
A nice gift for Phil Collins. Khoa was never ahead, yet gave up 4.5 million chips. He's in desperation mode with just 2 million in his stack. Collins Rail knows that if he can survive one more night, he is on to the November 9. Matt Matros was nearly out on day 1 of the $2,500 mixed hold'em event, but he stormed back to win the tournament and his second gold bracelet, along with over $300,000. Mr. Jonathan Epstein was booed for making the final table of the ladies' event, but Marsha Wolak got the cheers as she became the 2011 champion, winning nearly $200,000. Marcia's win was not enough to crack the upper echelon of World Series female money earners. The top spot belongs to Annette Oberstadt, whose winnings largely came from her victory at the 07 World Series of Poker Europe main event. You see Ben Lamb's earnings at this year's World Series of Poker. That's a pretty good career for a lot of players. This does not include the main event, over $1.3 million. Pateychuk with king, queen off.
The 21-year-old still in school, close to getting his degree at Moscow State Technical University.
He raises to $480,000. Ben Lamb with the button.
Lamb left Trinity University in San Antonio to play poker.
He folds ace deuce. Folded 2, Pius Heinz in the big blind with ace 9 off.
Dealt 2 cards, so there's a good chance he'll raise. Heinz attended Fresenius University of Applied Sciences in Cologne. I believe they are the Thundering Herd.
And he makes the call for $240,000 more.
Just a call? Well, sometimes your raising arm gets tired.
All right, heads up. The flop, ace, queen, 9, and these two use every ounce of that flop. Top and bottom pair for Heinz. Middle pair for Pateychuk. Heinz checks.
When you think about it, when you have a hooded sweatshirt and you don't use the hood, shouldn't you just buy a regular sweatshirt?
I never thought of that.
I'm asking you to think about it.
Pateychuk checks as well. Turn card. Tray of clubs. Heinz still way ahead.
I don't think Heinz is psychologically capable of checking 2 straight streets in any random hand.
Sorry. He checks. Pateychuk now with just a pair of queens up against the aces up.
Pateychuk thinks it's safe now. Why not?
And Pateychuk does put in $655,000.
Both these players in their first main event ever.
So far, Heinz has not given Pateychuk any reason to suspect he has a big hand.
But Pateychuk doesn't like the look of this. Heinz reaching for chips.
Here you go. Check raise to almost $1,700,000.
The check raise. Nice to see Heinz's body had not been snatched by some invisible invaders. Pateychuk way behind.
But Pateychuk reaching for chips, and he will commit over $1 million more to make the call. River card, 7 of spades. Heinz's aces up are best.
That is a board quite to Heinz's liking with aces up.
You saw Heinz eyeing Pateychuk's chips. And there goes Heinz again. $2,725,000.
Heinz bets about 60% of the pot.
I call.
He folded the Jack-10 earlier to Heinz, but can't get away from the King-Queen.
Pateychuk thought he was getting swaggle-foosed. Nope, he was getting taken to the cleaners.
While Pius Heinz stack continues to grow. What a blow to Pateychuk, who hands over half his stack to Heinz. And with that, Heinz is into 3rd place with nearly 20 million chips.
Даже туза не было, просто доску блефовать можно.
Precisely.
A dejected Andrey Pateychuk knows that he may be playing poker in November, but he's a long shot now to be doing it as a member of the November 9. As we near the halfway point of day 8, the curse of the chip leader has not affected Anton Makiievskyi. Still well ahead, still over 30 million. At the feature table, Ben Lamb opened raised to 525 with 6-5 off, folded to Matt Giannetti in the big blind with 8-6 of spades.
Lamb felt like raising from the cutoff, and Giannetti decides to join him.
Well, it's not aces versus kings versus queens, but here we go, Lamb and Giannetti. 7-4-9, both flop open-enders. Giannetti's is higher. Giannetti checks. Lamb with a much bigger stack checks. Turn card. Another 9. Giannetti's still ahead with his 8 high.
2 26-year-olds, neither one with a hand, neither one pretending to have a hand yet.
Giannetti checks it to Lamb once again, and Lamb checks back again. River card. Deuce of diamonds, so Giannetti's big blind special, the 8 high is best.
It's rare the 8 high is the best hand. Giannetti assumes 8 high is the worst hand, so he'll take a stab at it.
That's $1 million.
I would have check called if I were him.
Lamb gives up his second best hand.
I like how Ben, even when he folds a hand, keeps looking at you, trying to pick something up.
Ben was born in Oklahoma. Matt went to the University of Texas. The Red River rivalry rekindled right here.
Hey, Matt. You have something really good?
You'll know soon.
It was better than what you had, Ben. All right, we continue action here on Andrey Pateychuk under the gun. Pateychuk from Moscow, Russia, looks down at ace-queen off.
I'm gonna win.
All in.
And he moves all in for his last 4.3 million.
18 big blinds left for Andrey.
Lamb with a pocket pair, but he'll sit this one out. Folded to Pius Heinz. Heinz with pocket jacks.
Heinz now sitting on more than 20 million chips, courtesy of Pateychuk.
A call.
Heinz makes the call and will try to finish what he started earlier tonight. The rest of the table folds, and so Pateychuk at risk with his ace-queen racing against Heinz's pocket jacks.
Heinz only had to risk 20% of his stack to make that call.
Here's the flop. Pateychuk finds nothing in there he likes. Heinz still way ahead.
The second youngest player left, now a 3-to-1 dog to stick around.
The turn card. 9 of diamonds. Heinz 1 card away from knocking out Andrey Pateychuk.
Heinz about to pad his large stack even more. An ace or queen now, or it's over for Pateychuk.
The river card. The 10 of clubs. The jacks hold up. Andrey Pateychuk knocked out of the main event.
I think he played really, really well. I just made hands again too.
Several body blows from Pius Heinz. Knockout 21-year-old Andrey Pateychuk.
His first World Series cash worth $478,000.
He was a kid with a dream.
Pius Heinz now with over 25.5 million chips. As you said, a lot of them coming from Pateychuk. We're halfway through day 8 of the grueling main event. In the beginning, there were 6,865 hopefuls. 2 massive rooms filled with hundreds of tables. Each player dreaming of gold, of fame, of fortune.
Oh, I want to win this pot really bad. Really bad.
The hopes of thousands have been crushed.
Why? I don't know why.
And only 14 remain.
I mean, the odds of making a run this deep are pretty slim.
Just 2 tables are left, and the only question on everyone's mind is, which 9 will make November? Welcome back to the 2011 World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Tonight is the night. 5 will go, so 9 can advance to the final table. All signs point towards Ben Lamb in the November 9.
I marked Ben Lamb on my calendar for the November 9 months ago, Lon.
Irishman Eoghan O'Dea is comfortably in second place.
I checked his medical charts. He is genetically predisposed to make the main event final table.
But it's chip leader Anton Makiievskyi who has dominated day 8.
He's 21, going on 33 million chips and maybe $8.7 million.
Here's a look at the top 9 right now. Collins and Lamb have played well all main event long. Bounahra is the oldest player remaining at 49. 5 players on the outside looking in, including former Texas Longhorn Matt Giannetti.
South African importer-exporter Kosta Mamaliadis, the short stack. He better start importing.
Final table is so close. You should be afraid.
I busted 14th in this before. I lived. Do it again.
Busted 14th? Where?
2 years ago, I got 14th in this event. Yeah.
At main event?
I'm on a bubble right now.
You busted 14th in the main event?
2009.
Wow.
So I'm on a bubble right now.
You're really the luckiest player in the world.
I got unlucky in that. Ace is cracked for 18 million.
14 players left, 2 7-handed tables. The blinds at 120,000, 240,000, 30,000 chips is the ante. A night where 9 players will make the November 9. Folded to Ben Lamb, King 9 of hearts. You can hear Phil Collins fans in the background.
Yeah, those are all the singers who auditioned for Genesis and didn't make it.
Lamb made a raise to 525,000. Pius Heinz folds his button. And there are Collins fans. He's playing over on the secondary table. Giannetti in the small blind. Queen deuce folds. Bob Bounahra from Belize. Ace 10 of spades.
He plays twice a week at the poker room in Belize City that he's one of the owners of.
He makes the call for $285,000 more, and we'll get to see a flop with Ben Lamb.
Heads up.
All right, here's the flop. 7, 6, 9, 2 spades. Bounahra with flush and straight draws and 2 overs to the board. Bounahra checks.
Lamb with top pair, but he might prefer Bounahra's hand, which is favored.
Ben not checking. He bets $650,000.
Bounahra studies the board. Ben studies Bob. Oh, look, it's like an old Marx Brothers routine.
Bounahra not going anywhere with that hand. Makes the call.
Bounahra decides not to push the draw.
All right, turn card. Another 7. Lamb with 2 pair. He is now favored.
Yeah, the percentages just flipped.
Check.
Bounahra checks his 2 draws.
Now you can read me better. No glasses.
Appreciate it.
Why give Ben Lamb any extra advantage?
1.2.
You heard it. Lamb bets $1.2 million.
That's polite of Lamb, verbalizing the bet since Bounahra now cannot see that far with his glasses off. Belize fun fact of the day, Lon, population is 333,000, or roughly 1/5 the size of Manhattan. If the Upper West Side seceded from the U.S., it would be Belize.
With less coastline. Bounahra makes the call for $1.2 million.
Ben keeps looking at him. Glasses back on for the river.
Lamb with the advantage until now. Bounahra hits the ace-high flush and checks it.
Check.
Lamb checks back.
Oh, you didn't bite on this one? Sorry.
The hand almost died.
No. You didn't bite on this one?
Bob means no harm, but slamming your cards down is just poor form, whether you're from Belize or the Upper West Side.
Lamb bet every street but the river. He knew when to slow down. And Bounahra will pick up more chips.
That's the only hand you didn't bite on?
It's also poor form to keep riding your opponent after dragging a pot from him, but what the heck, it's the main event and Bounahra is pumped up.
Bounahra leapfrogs Ben Lamb on the chip count into 7th place.
It's tricky though. Making
right?
the nut flush and then checking.
A little bit.
Tricky.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Here in the United States, the rule at the poker table is English only. This year at the World Series, it's a good thing we have a lot of bilingual players. 85 different nations participated in the 2011 main event, and non-U.S. players made up 1/3 of the field, the largest percentage in World Series history. Norman, who would have thought that Texas Hold'em's humble origins would inspire a global phenomenon?
Poker was America's game. Well, we taught the rest of the world how to play, and now they're better than we are. How stupid could we be? Texas Hold'em should have been a state secret. Instead, this year we could have the first Belizean, the first Czech, and the first Ukrainian to make the main event final table. What's next? A galactic empire November 9er?
Rest easy, Norman. America's hopes for the main event are in good hands with Ben Lamb and Phil Collins, both in the top 9. Over to the secondary table. Phil Collins is seated with almost 19 million chips, 4th overall.
What's the total on that?
We're on day 8, and these players now have logged a lot of time with each other. They start to develop a pretty good feel for how each other plays. That's the beauty of my game, Lon. I bust so quickly, nobody can figure me out.
The mystery man is back for another try. Collins folds. Kosta Mamaliadis gets rid of his hand. On the Jackling Speed Jerky hole cam, Scott Schwalik with ace-5 of spades.
He's an online veteran, says he's had to learn how to pace himself in live play. It goes a lot slower.
What a nice run he's had here. He raises to $525,000, folded to the small blind. Bryan Devonshire with pocket tens.
This man loves to be outdoors, Lon. What's he doing in here?
Part-time cowboy, part-time poker pro.
Actually, if he makes the November 9, maybe Devo will lobby for it to be played outdoors on Fremont Street like the 1997 final table famously was.
Oh, boy, that was a heated adventure. A raise to $1,520,000 from Devonshire.
And Schwalik holding on to his hoodie almost like a security blanket.
All in. Schwalik puts Devo all in.
Side call.
And Devo makes the quick call. He's the one at risk, but Schwalik barely has him covered.
Schwalik got a bit overzealous there, thought Devo might be out of line, and Schwalik risked almost everything on the suited ace. Devo at risk.
All right, here we go to the flop. And the flop is all fours. That gives Devo a boat, but that's all the fours he wants to see.
Devo in great shape for a big double up. Schwalik now needs a 4, an ace, or a straight flush.
The turn card now. 7 of diamonds. Devo's still ahead in his double up bid.
Schwalik needs a 4 or an ace. Otherwise, Bryan Devonshire doubles through and cripples him.
The river card. The queen of diamonds, and Devonshire will double up to $14.5 million. I'm happy just because those guys are going to stick around. So the popular Bryan Devonshire healthy once again.
And it looks like he's going to get some exercise by greening his rail.
A lot of folks here to support Devo.
Devo basks in the glow of the double up. And you know, I think Schwalik wasn't sure whether he had chips left.
I thought for sure I was covered.
You're right, Norman. He thought he was headed out the door. He still has a seat, but only 2 big blinds remaining. Devo took a victory lap, but this race to the November 9 is far from over. Welcome back. Is Bryan Devonshire's double up a sign of things to come? We'll find out tonight. We heard Ben Lamb talk about his elimination with 14 players left in the 09 main event. We remember it well. Lamb with the pocket aces. Makes it $1.2 million.
I'm all in. I call.
Yes! Come on!
Tray of diamonds, no help to Lamb. It's an 8 of hearts. Bagliner wins at Monster Pot. As Ben Lamb tries to hang on, and that 7 will not do it for him. He's drawing dead. Ben Lamb eliminated in 14th place by Jeff Shulman.
I bet on Ben Lamb finishing in the top 13 2 years ago. I bet on him finishing in the top 13 this year. He better not let me down again.
Boy, fate would have to be very cruel indeed for him to go out 14th here. Still possible. Lamb folded, Holden folds to Pius Heinz. 6-5 off, no thank you on the button. Matt Giannetti with pocket queens.
His older brother is a Michigan grad. His younger brother is a Georgia grad. Matt left the University of Texas after his sophomore year to pursue poker.
He still wears the Longhorn hat, though, and raises to $525,000. Bob Bounahra folds a weak ace. In the big blind, the chip leader in the house, Anton Makiievskyi. Jack 10 off.
Makiievskyi with a mathematics degree.
He's only 21, but it seems the role of chip leader suits him very well.
Well, Ben Lamb finished 14th the year Joe Cata won. Makiievskyi trying to supplant Cata as youngest main event champ ever.
And he makes the call for $285,000 more, and we'll see a flop with Giannetti. Flop, tray 8, Jack, top pair for Makiievskyi, but he's still second best, and he checks.
Giannetti made his big chip move on day 7 at the expense of Hilton Laborda.
Giannetti with the queens, a 4-1 advantage. He bets $650,000.
Makiievskyi with top pair and some concerns.
But a lot of chips, so he can speculate a little bit, and he makes the call. Turn card, 5 of clubs, no help to the chip leader, Anton Makiievskyi. Checks again.
One of the safest boards you'd ever want to see for your pocket queens.
Giannetti started the hand with about $9.5 million. Makiievskyi almost $33 million.
Makiievskyi mesmerized by Giannetti's slow chip movement.
Giannetti puts together $1,425,000.
That doesn't look like check raising posture. Anton's body language is more like, should I call?
Anton trying to look under the hat for any clue into Giannetti's actions. You mentioned Hilton Laborda. He tried to do that, and Matt took all his chips. And there's a call from Makiievskyi.
I think it's hard to win poker hands when you're leaning over in that Hilton Laborda style.
All right, the river card. 6 of clubs. Giannetti's pocket queens hold up a quick check from Makiievskyi.
The instant check, usually a sign of weakness, but I can't tell you how many times I've bet after an opponent checks quickly and then he check raises me. That's why I'm in the game.
Giannetti with the best hand.
Giannetti confident he has the best hand.
Yeah, 2.6 million confident.
Anton check called the flop, check called the turn, and just as seemingly sensed he's been beat start to finish.
His reads have been very strong so far in the main event, as we have witnessed on a number of occasions. And he gives up his hand there. Good read. And Matt Giannetti has almost 3 million new chips in his stack.
Always nice to collect a few chips from the chip leader.
A minor hit to the big stack of Makiievskyi. Giannetti now to 12.5 million chips on the final table bubble. He's impressed at the main event, though his introduction to the gambling world might surprise you.
My name is Matt Giannetti. I'm 26 years old, and I grew up about 10 miles from one of the most historic racetracks in the world.
Don't go to court without your lawyer. You don't go to the window without the tip sheet.
I remember growing up, you know, my parents and my two brothers would come up here, and you know, we placed our $2 bets on, you know, 9 races it was, and you know, it wasn't often that we showed a profit. I mean, I don't expect to win. If I win, you know, great, but I mean, it's more about just enjoying the afternoon here, and you know, with my brother and my girlfriend and you know, my friend. You know, this is like one of the most famous trainers like all time. Can I get $100? On number 1 to win. First time I really thought that, you know, I really wanted to get in the world of gambling was when I started playing poker and was able to really consistently beat other people and be able to see that, you know, poker really is a game of skill. At the poker table, at the, you know, the level, you know, I play at and, you know, my friends play at, you know, we're there to make money, and there's no, you know, I'm gonna enjoy my day at the poker table. I want their money, and that's it. My brother's pick is coming in dead last right
here. If Matt had left school to bet horses, somebody should have tied him down. Nobody wins betting horses.
Action on Bob Bounahra at the feature table. And he has the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand, Central American style.
You know, I walk into singles bars now and go, did you know I'm 11.5 for 28 on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hands this year? It's a great pickup line.
Bounahra. Under the gun, raises to 600,000.
Pocket nines, baby. He's not messing around this close to the November 9, even though he did say he likes 7 deuce more than pocket aces.
All right, folded around to the small blind. Pius Heinz. Queen 5 into the muck.
My other favorite pickup line in a bar is telling a woman I know Lon McCarran.
Does that work?
No.
Pocket queens for Giannetti again.
That's sloppy dealing. He had the pocket queens in the previous hand we saw, never returned the cards.
Come on, they're different suits. Bounahra opened the action to 600,000. Giannetti just with a call.
It will be heads up. Bounahra looking at Matt. Maybe he's channeling Ben Lamb.
All right, here's the flop. Jack 7 Jack. Queens up for Giannetti. We know that much. He checks.
I don't think Bounahra is messing around. So he's got B, pocket nines, or C, trip jacks.
And he makes a bet of 1.2 million.
Now, I don't think Bob would push the heart draw here, and I'll contribute $500 to the Lon McCarran Relief Fund if he raised under the gun with 7 deuce off.
All right, Giannetti with queens up. Makes the call for $1.2 million. These two players with nearly even stacks at this featured table. Turn card now. Ace of diamonds. Giannetti checks.
Bounahra seems worried about that ace. Then again, we saw Bounahra do some bad acting earlier in the main event when he had the nuts. He's on pocket nines.
Well, they both tuck tail and wait for the river card. Tray of clubs. Giannetti immediately reaching for his stack. Giannetti with 525,000?
I don't understand that bet, Lon. What is that, 1/8 of the pot? It's an invitation to raise it and take it. Or it's begging for a call, but Matt doesn't have a monster. If Bounahra does call here, it's pocket nines for sure.
That's about $1 million short of a value bet, isn't it? But there's the call from Bounahra. And Bounahra with 7 deuce, of course, loses the Jack Link's beef jerky wild card hand. 5 bills.
Good luck collecting. 7 deuce? I'm going to need a new pickup line. This guy killed me.
Matt Giannetti and 13 others in the home stretch.
Nice answer.
The immediate goal not to win or place, but to just make the show. Matt has the whip out. He's making a charge. The main event mixes amateurs and pros alike, and this year Belize's Bob Bounahra has turned into one of the most memorable entrants.
Honestly, do I prefer 7 deuce off, 7 deuce off, 7 deuce off, 7 deuce off. I hit aces. I don't want to see what it is.
Before the break, we saw Bob play 7 deuce and lose to Giannetti. Aces can be your friend, Bob. All right, let's get over to the secondary table. With ace 10, Owen O'Dea can eliminate Scott Schwalek as Scott is all in with just jack 10.
Schwalek crippled by Bryan Devonshire and now on the edge of doom.
O'Dea, the chip leader at this secondary table with over 26 million. Here's the flop, queen, deuce, 6. O'Dea still ahead with ace high.
Schwalek looking for a jack or runner straight or runner spades to stick around.
Turn card now. Schwalek looking for anything to help him. 5 of diamonds doesn't do it.
And now only a jack keeps Schwalek around. O'Dea looking for the knockout.
The river card is a 10 that pairs both, but O'Dea's ace kicker gives him the pot and sends Scott Schwalek to the payout cage.
Well, that's a casual way to win $500,000. You never take your left hand out of your pocket.
So Ben Lamb will not finish 14th. Scott Schwalek fills that hole, wins $478,000. O'Dea over $28 million, good for second place with 13 players remaining, continuing his steady climb upward. Much has been made about his father Donica's success at the main event. Owen's father cashed 6 times here and made 2 final tables.
Look at that, 5 times in a 14-year span. Donica O'Dea made it to the final 4 tables of the main event, and Owen's father also won a bracelet in 1998 in Pot Limit Omaha, beating Johnny Chan heads up.
Secondary table is 6-handed now. Tournament officials will keep the players as evenly distributed as possible between the 2 tables. Action folded over to Owen O'Dea with pocket 7s.
He's just behind Makiievskyi for the chip lead at the moment.
Over 28 million. Owen will raise with 500,000 of them. Collins with pocket queens.
Collins an online monster, but says he's fallen in love with live poker. He likes the rhythm of it.
Collins with the button. Just makes the call.
Actually, I think he likes the rhythm of getting dealt pocket queens in live poker.
No kidding. Kosta Mamaliadis in the small blind gives up his hand. Martin Staszko folds his big.
He'll be heads up, and these are 2 guys who just seem so even-keeled and laid back at the poker table.
Queens of Colin ahead of the 7s of O'Dea. The flop, Trey 4 king. Neither player in love with that king out there, I'd imagine. O'Dea checks. Collins checks as well.
I love when he checks by tapping his arm.
Turn card 5 of clubs gives O'Dea a gut shot. And he checks again.
I'm surprised O'Dea didn't bet. His 7s might be good, and why would he want to risk a big card hit in the river?
700,000 from Collins with the queens.
And of course, Phil should have bet as he just did. His queens are definitely king of this hand. If O'Dea thinks he's beat right now, he's not getting the right price to call.
I guess he thinks his 7s are good.
Well, then why didn't he bet him?
He made the call. You are right about that. River card. Another 5. O'Dea comes up short and checks again.
That river 5 is a pretty safe card for Collins and his pocket queens.
Collins has the purple chips in hand, 100,000 each. And those are worth $1 million too.
A value bet, not as small as that incredibly crafty river bet we saw Giannetti make earlier with his queens against Bounahra, but still a nice wager.
So now O'Dea has to try to figure out what Collins is up to. He makes the call. And O'Dea will come up second best, as many people do when Phil Collins is in the hand.
O'Dea thought Collins was up to something. All he was up to was dragging a $5 million chip pot.
And there's the Phil Collins rail going to work. Collins stacking chips. Phil's rail getting louder, and why not? He's over 20 million chips.
Sorry about that. Come November, everyone will have a section like that.
Welcome back to the World Series of Poker Main Event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad and Kara Scott on this final night of the main event before the final table. Only 13 players remain, but only 9 will make it through the night. 21-year-old Anton Makiievskyi from Ukraine, right there, is our chip leader. He folds to John Hewitt. And Norman, it's official. Queens are an epidemic. Hewitt with a raise to $525,000.
There was Ben Lamb. He survived his personal bubble. He's bettered his 14th place finish of 09.
Folded over to Pius Heinz on the button. Ace-7 of spades.
I'm still waiting for Heinz to be dealt 5-7. It will happen, and it will be red. Heinz, by the way overdue for a 3-bet.
And Heinz will provide that right now.
Do I know my uber-aggressive 22-year-olds?
He makes it $1,175,000.
Heinz has a 3-bet clock in his head that goes off every 7 minutes.
Nobody gets to play cheaply with Pius Heinz. So folded back to Hewitt. And with the queens, he just calls.
Boy, we have seen pocket queens slow played, pre-flop again and again.
All right, these two heads up. The flop, deuce, 4, king. Hewitt's queens are still good. Swing and a miss from Heinz after Hewitt checked.
In an earlier pro analysis, we heard Phil Galfond talk about letting aggressive players do the betting for you when they have position. Hewitt content to do just that.
Heinz got no spades, got no ace in that flop, but he does bet $950.
Hewitt trying to protect himself from Heinz's incredibly pungent aftershave.
Hewitt just with a call.
Hewitt in command of this hand, but Heinz without a care in the world with no pair and no draw.
Turn card, 6 of diamonds. Hewitt doesn't mind that card. He checks again.
Heinz still with no pair and no draw, but that aftershave could choke a horse.
He's left with that and his aggression.
You gotta love this guy's game. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
And now Pius Heinz puts out $2,125,000.
Don't know if Hewitt's worried about the king. Don't know if he's letting Heinz dig his own hole.
No, Hewitt calls pretty quickly there. And so Heinz wondering if he's got another barrel left in him. The river card, 10 of clubs. Hewitt checks a third time.
What will Pius do?
He reaches for chips.
Damn the November 9, full speed ahead. He's gonna fire again, Lon.
This guy has no quit in him. And now Heinz puts out almost half the pot, $4.4 million.
It's one thing to let your aggressive opponent's posture, but the price gets steep, and Hewitt now in an awfully tough spot.
Yeah, he sees the overcard to his queens out there, plus a third club hit the board, and Pius Heinz keeping the pressure on.
Hewitt began this hand with 18 million chips. Almost half of them would be gone if he called here and was beaten. You're this close to the November 9, and you've got to withstand all this heat with just one pair.
And there's the call. And Pius Heinz mucks his hand, and John Hewitt takes a huge pot.
Come on! Just another terrific call by John Hewitt. We saw him make a similar fine call against Matt Giannetti on day 7. And Pius Heinz bluffs off a boatload of chips.
Hewitt with a surge into second place. Heinz drops down below 16 million now.
Nice call.
And he gives Hewitt props for the gutsy call. Hewitt withstood the pressure from Pius Heinz, and now he's built his stack to over 27 million into second place, increasing his stack by 50% with that hand. Heinz into 5th place, Lamb and Staszko sitting in 8th and 9th respectively.
Amateur Bob Bounahra now one slot off of the virtual November 9. Khoa Nguyen in the red zone with just 15 big blinds left.
The average stack right now, 15.8 million. Back now to the feature table where the tournament chip leader Anton Makiievskyi sits. He is still the tournament chip leader, but just barely now over John Hewitt. Ace-6 off.
Anton wearing the same aquamarine jacket every day here at the main event. These guys on the cusp of becoming millionaires, yet they keep saving on laundry costs.
Makiievskyi raises to $550,000. Ben Lamb in the cutoff position, 10-4.
Just 10-4 is nothing much. Nobody wants to give up on a pot. Why not just sit back and let the other predators prey on each other?
He does fold. It's folded over to Heinz. He gives it up. In the big blind, Matt Giannetti with pocket sevens on the Jack Links beef jerky hole cam.
Giannetti moved to Las Vegas to eat, breathe, and sleep poker. Well, this is the right place.
Giannetti. 310,000 more. That's a call. And he will see a flop with the chip leader. 9-8 king. Giannetti still has the best hand, but all over cards flop to his sevens, and he checks.
And here comes the continuation bet per the hyper-aggressive player's manual.
650,000.
That's an awful board for pocket sevens.
And Giannetti gives it up.
The continuation bet takes it down. That hardly ever happens around here.
You have to give Anton credit. He is not sitting on his chip lead. He continues to put heat on his opponents. A raise pre-flop, a bet on the flop. It's nice when a plan comes together. 9 final table invitations go out tonight. The gold bracelet on everyone's mind, as is the $8.7 million first prize. There's our chip leader, a 21-year-old Ukrainian wearing the jacket of a bracelet-winning fellow countryman.
That's his college buddy, Alexei Kovalchuk.
Anton Makiievskyi with 30 million chips, and ace-jack raises to 550,000. Over to Ben Lamb with pocket eights. Lamb with 13.5 million. No raise, just a call.
And not a ton of re-raising pre-flop lately. Players want to see the action develop. There's a huge difference between finishing 13th and finishing 9th.
The sigh of relief is because Heinz is out of the hand. Giannetti folds, so Makiievskyi and Lamb heads up.
Ah, we meet again.
Can't do it, can we?
A failed attempt to stare each other down. Here we go to the flop. 6 king deuce. Makiievskyi misses that. Lamb's eights are best. Makiievskyi checks.
You checked? Check. 500.
Just like a reflex. You check, I bet. $500,000.
Well, Ben surprised Anton checked. So was I. Just because he checked doesn't mean he's checking out. There may not be a lot of re-raising pre-flop, but look at this. Guys just don't want to give up on pots.
There is a check raised to $1,400,000 from Anton.
And they just don't not give up. They aggress.
So Lamb will make the call with the eights. A battle of wits and wills between two of the most feared players to emerge in the main event. Another 6 on the turn.
There's no let-up. I'm exhausted, Lon, and I haven't played a pot in weeks.
The turn card didn't help Anton, but he has a ton of chips. He bets $2.2 million. Ben Lamb with a rather casual call.
Lamb telling Anton, not on my watch, sonny boy.
Now the stare down is easy between these two. Almost $9 million in the middle. The river card is another king. So 2 pair on board. Makiievskyi with the ace. He checks.
Yes, I'm shocked he didn't fire again on the river. Don't bet, Ben. He'll check raise you, and then what will you do?
Lamb with a better 2 pair checks. Makiievskyi turns his hand. Lamb turns the winner.
Lamb survives the mini fusillade.
Anton used his ammunition to really put Lamb's faith in his pocket pair to the test. Lamb over 18 million. And with that, Makiievskyi drops into 3rd place overall with just over 26 million chips.
I think Makiievskyi should upgrade his sunglasses with his guaranteed $500,000 payday.
Makiievskyi without loss, no longer the tournament or the table chip leader. He's 3rd overall. John Hewitt is the table chip leader. Eoghan O'Dea is the tournament chip leader.
Ben Lamb's 2011 World Series bears repeating. He didn't cash in the first 5 events he played. Now he's cashed in the last 5 events he's played, including a bracelet and 3 final tables. The main event would be his 4th final table in his last 5 World Series events. And in the one event he didn't make a final table, he finished 12th.
Lamb with king 8 of diamonds. It looked like he was going to raise. And he finally does. A raise to 675. Sam Holden with the smallest of aces into the buck. Pius Heinz with 14.7 million chips and 10-7 of spades. Not 5-7.
Close.
A re-raise from Heinz to $1,450,000.
When we are seeing a re-raise pre-flop, and Heinz is a great example, it's not with strong hands, they're doing it with weaker hands to take it down right there.
The re-raise back to Lamb.
Make it 3.5.
Yeah, there's one reason Lamb's been so successful, and Heinz can't fold fast enough.
Boy, Lamb just looked at Heinz and read him right. Wow.
Ben Lamb hitting on all cylinders, reading well, being aggressive. He's now over 20 million, eclipsing his 09 performance, determined to make the most of his now twice in a lifetime opportunity. In the final $1,000 no-limit Hold'em event of the summer, Max Leakoff emerged as the champion and became the third Russian-born bracelet winner of 2011. And although Scandinavians have become a force in poker, none had won a bracelet this year until Sweden's Alexander Anter took first place in the final $1,500 no-limit Hold'em event.
Now I just feel relieved. It's so much pressure.
This year's first place prize money in the main event is the fourth largest ever at $8.7 million. Compare that to the average 2011 first place prize of about $477,000.
I can tell you that 12th place at this year's $1,500 Stud 8 event paid $10,676.
Congratulations to you, Norman Chad. Bryan Devonshire looks down at ace-5 offsuit. Devonshire with about $12.1 million in his stack. He raises to $510,000.
Who is responsible for the uproar in the background?
That man, Phil Collins, usually. It is folded around to Martin Staszko in the big blind with pocket eights.
Staszko barely survived the money bubble with 12,000 in chips, and according to Eric Lindgren, he folded about 40 hands in a row to do so.
Staszko makes the call.
You know, after the main event, I'm taking all these guys shopping. Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, we're all going to look like $1 million bucks.
You didn't win that much in your Stud 8 event. The flop is 8-10 ace. Staszko flops a set and checks. Top pair for Devo, who better be cautious. Devonshire bets $420,000.
A dream flop for Staszko. He hopes Devo has an ace, and Devo does. Lon, I'm going to bring Marcel Lusk and Tony Dunst along on the shopping trip. We're going to make everybody here look like gentlemen.
I would love that. So costly to lose a hand at this stage of the game. Both of these players are not secure in their spot on the final table just yet. A check raise to $1,320,000 from Staszko.
And that check raise could be a wake-up call for Devonshire.
Some concern from Devo's fiancée, Corey Hinson.
No fiancée of mine wears a trash pail on her head.
None of them?
Good for you.
Devonshire not going away.
He ought to be folding, but he looks like he's raising.
He looks like he's raising. You are right. And he does re-raise to $2,920,000.
Well, if Staszko had Jack-9 or 10-9, we'd say Devo is a genius for getting more chips in on the flop. But the fact is, Martin is from Trinnic, and everyone knows that players from Trinnic do not check raise the flop without at least a set.
Martin with the best of it, trying to figure out how serious Devo is about this hand.
Nice.
And here we go with another raise to over $5 million, and Devo mucks his hand immediately.
Devo gets the message about 2.5 million chips too late.
Staszko now making a move into fourth place here with $17.6 million. Devonshire still on the virtual final table in ninth, but that one hurt. Phil Hellmuth now tells us whether Devo could have avoided that situation.
Ace 10-8, brutal flop for Devo, but look, it's not that brutal. He has aces with not much of a kicker, really. He gets checked to, he bets out. I like his bet on the flop, $420,000, fine. Staszko makes a nice little raise there. I like his raise there. But this was the big mistake in the hand. Devo with aces with no kicker. There's no flush draws. There's, I guess, a couple of straight draws. He makes a big re-raise in this hand, I guess to find out where he's at. I don't think he had to re-raise that much to find out that he had the worst hand. If he has a great reading ability, maybe he could fold. But I think a lot of people would say he could call on the flop and then fold for a big bet on the turn. I just hate the fact that Devo put so much money into this hand with aces and no kicker. Mistake.
And Devo's got to hate that he gave away that many chips at this critical juncture of the main event. 4 eliminations away from the November 9. Devo now sits in 9th place and teetering a bit.
The blinds up to $150,000 and $300,000. The ante up to $40,000. One more payout at $478,000. Then it jumps up to $607,000. Eoghan O'Dea with pocket sevens.
The pressure mounts, Lon. Every decision magnified. Any bad decision can stay with you for the rest of your life.
Eoghan O'Dea with pocket sevens raises to 625. Kosta Mamaliadis with 8 deuce.
Kosta has not been active, and I can't believe he wants to get active with 8 deuce.
I'm all in.
The short stack raises all in for over $4 million.
Boy, that's an odd push.
How's the other? 4,020,000.
This is virtually an automatic call for OD, not much more than 10% of his stack to put Kosta at risk.
Call.
OD does make the call, and will be quite happy to see he's in great shape against the 8 deuce.
Kosta turned over the 8 deuce like it was pocket queens. The 34-year-old South African needs some luck here to hang around. 8 deuce.
OD trying to get us 12-handed. All right, here's the flop. No one time for Mamaliadis. Nothing in there for him.
8 deuce. I don't know. Mamaliadis looking for an 8 or a runner something soon.
Mars Callahan, the 94th place finisher in the main event, an interested bystander. Mamaliadis trying to double through OD. 6 of clubs on the turn, each player with a gut shot. So an 8's no good for Kosta now.
Yeah, that would give OD a straight. Mamaliadis now needs a 7 to make his own straight. Of course, OD's got 2 of them.
All right, the river card. Kosta at risk. There is the 8. Where was that a card earlier? OD rivers a winning straight. Kosta Mamaliadis scores big here in the main event, finishing 13th.
Oh, what a fabulous run for the amateur.
He wins almost $500,000. So one of the last amateurs takes his leave from the main event. A great tournament for the South African. Eoghan O'Dea extends his chip lead. He's over $35 million with 12 players remaining.
Seriously? Phil Ivey in the World Series didn't know he had flush. You know this, right?
Yeah, he didn't know. I lifted the same card twice.
I understand.
I see 8 and 8.
No,
2 red 8s.
I understand.
Thinking I've got pocket 8s, and it's a...
Phil Ivey misread his hand in the World Series. Everybody does it.
Well, Norman, now it makes a little more sense. Mamaliadis, talking to Mars Callahan, said he thought he had pocket 8s.
What a horrible way to end a fabulous main event.
So back to the featured table. 2 6-handed tables in action now. Anton Makiievskyi has been moved to the secondary table. Folded over to Ben Lamb with tray deuce off. And he raises to 675. Go, Ben, go.
Poker strategy books will tell you to raise with more than premium hands, but I don't think they tell you to raise with among the worst of hands.
Giannetti in the big blind. On the Jack Link's beef jerky hole cam, ace-9 off.
If Giannetti takes his left hand off his right arm, I believe he is incapable of functioning. We are 6-handed at each table right now, so hand ranges expand a bit.
And the short stack's under immense pressure. Giannetti calls, and we'll see a flop with Ben Lamb.
And as expected, the ace-9 off against the trade deuce off.
All right, here's the flop, ace, deuce, 9. Top 2 pair for Giannetti, bottom pair for Lamb. Giannetti checks.
Giannetti will sit on his monster and let Lamb do the bidding.
Well, he knows Ben Lamb well, because Lamb bids $700,000.
And some of Ben's chips, I think, are still rolling down Flamingo Road from that last bet. Very sloppy.
Giannetti. What does he do with top 2 pair? He's got Ben on the hook, just a call.
Giannetti following the blueprint of letting the aggressive players aggress. He's got Lamb right where he wants him.
Turn card, 7 of diamonds, misses both players. Giannetti still with a monster advantage, checks again.
Giannetti hoping to induce another bet from Lamb.
Ben says, not this time. River card is the deuce of hearts. Wow, Lamb Rivers trips.
It's good to be Ben Lamb.
Giannetti checks a 3rd time. 3 hearts on the board. Ben Lamb with the best of it. Bets a nice, neat $4 million.
Quite in contrast with his sloppy flop bet. Ben overbets the pot. A 2-outer. Matt Giannetti could have no idea what just hit him.
Matt flop aces up.
Well, if you're Giannetti, you might think that Lamb maybe got there with a heart flush. And if he calls here, it is for 30% of Giannetti's remaining chips.
Giannetti put to a very difficult decision.
Yeah, this is where you reconstruct the hand and the action. And in doing this, I don't see how Giannetti envisions a deuce in Ben Lamb's hand.
Giannetti got very healthy in this main event against Hilton Laborda. This is not Hilton Laborda. This is Ben Lamb. Giannetti cutting out some chips.
Well, I empathize with Matt Giannetti's plight, but this is where we need a shot clock in poker.
Ben loves to see Matt squirming.
It's a tough one.
With the final table so close. Giannetti calls. Trip deuces for Ben Lamb will take the pot.
It's good to be Ben Lamb.
Ben Lamb takes a monster pot from Matt Giannetti. Giannetti down below 10 million.
Giannetti thought he might be beat, but I don't think he expected to see trade deuce.
And Ben Lamb now in fourth place with over 26 million.
It's been the year of Ben Lamb. That was a long road to nowhere for Matt Giannetti.
What a clash between these two 26-year-old pros, and the Player of the Year leader comes out of the fray in much better shape. So as the November 9 comes more into focus, Eoghan O'Dea has taken control. He leads with almost 35 million. Ben Lamb just moved into fourth place after capitalizing on a lucky river deuce. These three players on the outside looking in. Ben is with Kara Scott right now.
When you're waiting for Matt to make his decision, what's going through your head?
Well, when I had a deuce, I was thinking, please call, but normally I'm just trying not to give off anything, just sit there, sit still as I can. You know, he's a really good player, played a lot of live, and if I do anything, like, I wanted to call the clock on him, it's taking so long, but I feel like if I call the clock on him, he's going to think I'm trying to make him call, and then he's going to fold, and definitely wanted to call, so yeah.
We're going to be very short-handed here, and we are very short-handed. Does that favor you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I played a lot of shorthanded. I played a lot of live shorthanded, no limit especially, cash games and such. And because they're so deep, it kind of plays more like a cash game than a tournament. So yeah, I like my current table and how it's set up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Lon.
In every poker player's career, there are defining moments. Tonight, 12 players compete for 9 spots at the 2011 main event final table.
It's a dream that is ungraspable to most poker players.
Tonight is a defining moment.
You can't live outside the moment, you have to live in the moment.
Last night I didn't get any sleep.
To sit at this table, you can't make a reservation.
The main event bracelet counts more than any other bracelet. The recognition and the ability to call yourself a world champion.
To sit at this table, the moment must be owned.
Outside of winning the Super Bowl, it's got to be the best feeling in the world.
Welcome back to Las Vegas for the conclusion of Day 8 of the World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. 12 players on the cusp of the November 9. Eoghan O'Dea has been this tournament's silent assassin, and he's the chip leader.
My wife detects a slight Irish accent now when I ask her what's for dinner.
Anton Makiievskyi has shown poker wisdom beyond his years.
Say dobre shobuti Anton Makiievskyi.
We've said it before, we'll say it again. Ben Lamb seems destined.
My therapist says if I talk any more about Ben Lamb, I will become Ben Lamb.
What was once a sea of 6,865 players is now 12. O'Dea in the lead. Costa Rican John Hewitt in second. Americans Lamb, Collins, and Giannetti all in the top 9. Holden, Devonshire, and Nguyen all have some work left to do.
It's not the November 12, it's the November 9. 3 players are going to go home a bit unhappy.
Soon, one player will walk away with that bracelet and $8.7 million.
Matt, how much do you have? 9 million?
9.1 to start the level.
And how much do you have?
12.5.
12.3. You have all of it.
You have more.
He has all of it.
Yeah, you have a lot of it.
The blinds at 150, 300,000, a 40,000. Chip ante, 2 6-handed tables. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Whole Cam, Sam Holden with pocket sevens.
Along with the super blind and the ability to only use your one time once, next year's World Series should mandate that players wear shirts that electronically update their chip counts. I'm tired of hearing, how much do you have?
Holden made the minimum raise to 600,000. Bounahra folds his button to John Hewitt in the small blind. He folds. Ben Lamb in the big blind makes the call with ace deuce.
Ben Lamb never gets tired of looking at people.
Heads up to the flop. It is 4-7-4. Holden flops huge sevens full. Lamb quickly checks.
Joe Navarro says if you hold your hands in a steeple like Holden, it's a sign of strength. I believe Joe is correct in this hand.
800,000 from Holden. Lamb has had a knack for losing the minimum when in trouble. Let's see what happens here.
Ben has the dreaded less than 1% notation next to his cards.
Ben has 3 times the chip stack of Holden, so he's not easily run off here. Makes the call.
I had the less than 1% notation next to my first marriage.
Tray of clubs on the turn. It may cost Ben some more chips. He picks up a wheel draw and checks again.
Holden became a poker pro in 2010, said he wanted to take a year to see what he could do with it.
Doing well so far. Final 2 tables of the main event in his first World Series, a bet of 1.6 million.
Lamb still trying to get a read off of Holden, and Ben's radar definitely off here. It was an under-the-gun raise from a pretty conservative player, but he thinks his ace high might be good.
He does not see the 0 next to his name and makes the call.
Of course, Ben has picked up that wheel draw.
River card, king of diamonds. Lamb missed his draw, luckily for him, and checks again.
Holden considers his bet size. Ben watches while Sam ponders.
Holden flop the full house. Had Ben Lamb from the get-go. And now puts out 3.2 million.
Ben getting 3-1 on a call here if he wants to pay to see if his read is right. And he must have some type of read on Sam that's telling him Sam is posturing here.
Ben Lamb can afford it, but decides to fold, and Holden with a nice bounty here against Ben Lamb. Over 12.2 million for the Brit.
That's a nice chip up for the 22-year-old. Ben Lamb still wants to see what the kid had.
The paths of the remaining 12 players have been well documented. We saw Ben Lamb impress right from the start. We first heard from Anton Makiievskyi on day 4, and Phil Collins dominated his feature table appearance on day 6. These players all have a prime spot on the path to the November 9, but the road narrows ahead.
It's been a remarkable main event. The big one has been better than ever, marked by a near-record field, and down the stretch, an overwhelmingly young and overwhelmingly international field. The pressure tonight is insane. Somebody's going to melt down and not make it. It could be anybody. But something wouldn't be right in the poker universe if Ben Lamb didn't advance to the November 9. This is his year.
Lamb has been amazingly consistent in this main event. Tonight is the culmination of a long poker grind, 8 days and nearly 7,000 players gone. After 3 eliminations, 9 players will remain, each still with a shot at $8.7 million and the gold bracelet.
Jonathan Duhamel was the 2010 main event champion. He took home $8.9 million.
Bob Bounahra with ace tray off, raises to 775. Ben Lamb on the button gives it up. The lone Brit left Sam Holden, flush with new chips, folds in the big blind. German pro Pius Heinz with pocket tens. He makes the call.
One misstep and you're missing the November 9. We see it happen every year.
Heinz and Belize's Bob Bounahra will see a flop. It is Jack, Trey, and Bounahra takes a commanding lead, flopping trip threes. Heinz first to act. He checks. Bounahra with the best of it right now, $1,100,000.
This doesn't look like the worst flop in the world for Pius Heinz.
With the pocket tens and the trays on board.
I like that Heinz uses 2 hands to make his bets.
And he puts out the call. Belizean ahead right now. 8 of diamonds on the turn. No improvement to Heinz's hand, and he checks again.
At home, Bounahra plays 5-10 and 10-25 no limit hold'em. Twice a week at the card room he co-owns.
Bob Bounahra cutting out some chips.
See, one-hand wagering takes so much longer. Is his right arm on strike?
$2.5 million from Bounahra, one-handed.
Why so much?
Heinz suspects something's up that he doesn't like. Bounahra representing a big hand.
Bounahra has a big hand, and the pocket tens of Heinz correctly go into the muck. He was drawing very thin.
Bounahra takes it down, but at this stage, you really want to maximize the size of the pot when you have a massive edge. The amateur does not do that.
A good day 8 can define your tournament, and good things are happening for Holden and Bounahra late in the game. Welcome back to the Rio. There are 9 empty seats at the final table, and the 12 remaining players would all like to secure their spot. Irishman Eoghan O'Dea is the chip leader. He sits at our secondary feature table, along with Khoa Nguyen, a former chip leader in the main event, now the short stack. It is time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand, and there you see my broadcast partner's batting average.
Yeah, you see I'm batting .397, Lon. If I want to be the first to hit 400 since Ted Williams, I've got to step up to the plate and hit this one out.
Phil Collins has the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
Oh, he's tough to read.
Collins, second to act. 725,000 is the raise.
I don't think Phil is playing that King Jack or Queen 10 off garbage in early position. I think he's playing the babies, pocket threes or 5-4 suited.
Makiievskyi folds to the button. Martin Staszko with pocket fours.
I cannot confirm nor deny whether Phil Collins, the singer, has ever performed in Trinnic. I believe the answer is no.
Staszko calls for 725 from the button. Bryan Devonshire in the small blind folds.
Staszko trying to become the first from Czech Republic to make the main event final table. Collins trying to become the first University of South Carolina law school applicant waitlisted who then turned them down to make the main event final table.
All right, here's the flop. Staszko and Collins. Queen, deuce, 8. Collins first to act here. Staszko did not improve.
Collins in a black button down here at the poker table, which is like wearing a tuxedo to the supermarket.
He may do that. A bet of 900,000.
Collins capable of c-betting anything here. I think he's taking one more shot with the pocket threes or the 5-4 suited, figuring the flop likely missed Staszko.
Staszko did miss the flop, and with his fours, makes the call.
Well, he figures Collins would c-bet anything, so he thinks his pocket fours are good. I think they are.
King of hearts on the turn.
Collins should be wary of Staszko's call on the flop, but it looks like he's plowing on. I don't know, Lon. I'm losing my nerve about the pocket threes or the 5-4 suited. At least with the 5-4 suited, he's picked up a flush draw.
I'm rooting for you to hit 400. Staszko anxiously awaiting what the graceful Phil Collins will do.
I'll stick with it.
2.2 million.
He's repping a big hand, but I don't think he has one.
And Staszko gives it up. Collins had D, 5-4 of hearts to win the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
I need an official scores ruling here. A half credit puts me to 400. No.
I'm giving you a half credit.
I'm Norman Ball game, sort of.
And he's 40,000.
Collins, one of the local favorites, has one of the more entertaining rails. He's number 5 on the charts now with a bullet. It's no surprise to those that know him. He's still alive in the main event.
Phil Collins, 26 years old, from Aiken, South Carolina, living in Las Vegas. Before this year's main event, not a lot of people knew who I was, and even though I've had a lot of success playing online, not having live success was definitely a point of frustration for me. But I knew that I needed to adjust a few things to be as successful live as I have been online. I changed the way I played a few hands, and I really just tried to stay as focused as I could. Most of my friends are my poker friends, so there's a lot of poker discussion or poker talk. But outside of us playing, we do normal stuff. We lay out by the pool, play cornhole, go golf whenever we can, try to get better at bowling.
We got ribeyes, we got strip steaks.
I didn't really get the Phil Collins stuff much whenever I was growing up. I was just Phil to my friends. They knew my last name, but it was never really anything.
And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Go Phil!
Well, what I really like is the you must get this all the time. If you know that I get it all the time, then why are you giving it to me again?
And we've been waiting for for this moment for all his life. Go Phil!
Maybe if I win the main event, I could be the most famous Phil Collins. That would be nice.
He must get that all the time, no? By the way, it's okay to be the second most famous Phil Collins if you win $8.7 million.
Dealer asked me one of the other days, did they just cheer for you getting a walk? They cheer even when I don't win a hand.
I've noticed, Lon, that sometimes they cheer for you when you walk out of a poker room.
They cheer more when I come in. Everyone loves dead money. All right, action on Bryan Devonshire. King, queen offsuit.
Devo also with a good following here. He has a home in Henderson, just south of the Strip.
He has been a poker dealer in this town, a rafting guide, a youth pastor. He raises to $700,000. A Khoa Nguyen on the button.
I'm all in.
Nguyen, the short stack, re-raises all in for over $3.8 million.
Nguyen finds an ace and pushes.
The chip leader, Eoghan O'Dea, with a pocket pair.
Actually a tough spot here for O'Dea. He'd have to put in a sizable raise to try to get Devonshire out.
O'Dea in the small blind. Lays down the sixes. Collins in the big blind with Jack Deuce. He folds.
Side call.
And Devonshire, the second shortest stack, calls. And Nguyen may be a little surprised to see he's a slight favorite.
Yeah, Nguyen pushed with 12 big blinds left. If Devo loses, he'll be down to 12 big blinds. Not a huge pot, but a big one for both of them.
Active cheering sections for both of these players. Bryan Devonshire trying to knock out Khoa Nguyen. All right, now here's the flop. 4-9 tray, no paint. That's good for Nguyen, bad for Devo. Ace-high still best.
Devo does not look optimistic.
The turn card. 10 of diamonds. Devonshire with a gut shot now picking up some outs.
Anything.
Yeah, Devo with the draw. He needs a king, queen, or jack to knock out Khoa Nguyen.
The river card is another 10. Khoa Nguyen survives and will fight on. And that one hurt Devonshire, who is just deflated after that river card bricked.
Yeah, Khoa Nguyen's November 9 dream is alive, and indeed a dejected Devonshire, now the short stack.
Bryan Devonshire left with just 3.6 million chips, lost almost half his stack right there. Khoa Nguyen with a double up, it's still a lot of work left to do, and those are the risks you take late in the main event. When you can ill afford to lose those hands, your main event mortality starts to sink in. Welcome back to the World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Just before the break, Bryan Devonshire took a big hit that knocked him to the bottom of the chip count with 12 players remaining. O'Dea, Lamb, and Hewitt run 1, 2, 3, but at this stage of the tournament, it's about making the November 9. Nguyen, Heinz, and Devo on the outside looking in.
It's the haves and the have-nots, and at this point, if you're in the top 3 and you somehow miss the November 9, that's something you likely will regret for a long, long time.
Yeah, if you make it, even with a short stack, big stack, mid stack, whatever, you just want to make it. Hewitt with ace-king. First to act, and a raise to $650,000.
And Hewitt make a couple of terrific calls in the latter stages of this main event against Giannetti and Pius Heinz.
Short stack Heinz with king-jack of clubs.
His feistiness on day 8 has cost him a bundle of chips.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
He says all in for his last $8 million and change.
Feisty again from the button, all in, 26 big blinds left with king-jack suited.
I call.
Hewitt made the call with his ace-king. And Pius Heinz has to improve or he is gone.
Hewitt in position to send home probably the most aggressive player left in the field. And if Hewitt wins this pot, he'll be on cruise control to make the November 9.
Yeah, he would retake the chip lead. Heinz is dominated by Hewitt right now with his tournament life at stake. Hewitt trying to get us down to 11 players, one step closer to the November 9. The flop 7, 10, 8. Heinz picks up a gut shot, but Hewitt still favored with ace-king.
Hewitt likes the look of it. He's still in a dominant position.
The turn card now.
Come on.
6 of hearts, Hewitt with a flush draw.
One more, baby, one more.
And that takes a couple of outs away from Heinz.
The Heinz now is going to need a non-heart 9 or jack, or he's done.
The river is the 9 of diamonds. Heinz bags the double up with a little river luck.
That's a tough one. Heinz hits a 5-outer. Hewitt's back to the grind. We still have 12 players, and now Hewitt and Heinz have similar middle-of-the-pack stacks.
I won good.
Hewitt still in the top 9, and now joined by Pius Heinz, whose 16.8 million chips puts him in 6th place.
Pius Heinz runs good.
And a very dangerous player just got a lot of chips as Hewitt provides the double up. Heinz escapes with a miracle river, but he's not the only player who's been lucky to get this far in the main event. Here is the flop, and it is Trey 4 playing ace small. Sometimes can work. And that secures the double up for Makiievskyi. Anton Makiievskyi pinning his main event hopes on pocket queens against the ace queen of Andrew Ferguson. Here's the flop, and an ace in the window for Ferguson sends Makiievskyi to the edge of the edge. The river card, and there is the queen! The case queen saves Makiievsky's main event. And here's the flop, and a straight for Bounahra.
I won! I won! Yeah!
Is this where I use my one time?
Oh.
One time left.
6 of hearts, Hewitt with a flush draw.
Baby. One more!
The river is the 9 of diamonds. Heinz bags the double up with a little river luck.
I won good.
If I can quote British statesman Benjamin Disraeli, we make our fortunes and call them fate. A lot of fate going on around these parts.
Anton says he was put all in on the very first level of the main event. To Eoghan O'Dea, the chip leader, ace queen offsuit.
I'm not a fan of ace queen, but we're playing 6-handed now, and that's a much stronger hand here than it would be at a full table.
The chip leader in the main event right now with a raise to $650,000.
Such a weird vibe out there. The players are worn down, but they are wired to take this final step to the November 9.
Small blind Martin Staszko folds. To the big blind, Bryan Devonshire with a lot fewer chips than he had a few minutes ago. He doubled up Khoa Nguyen.
With king-queen suited, the short stack is mulling whether this is the moment.
Devonshire says time to cowboy up and get it all in. And a call from O'Dea. So Devonshire at risk, trying to make the king-queen work this time.
Devo dominated and downcast, and even if he doubles here, he'll still be the short stack.
Still life in Devo's rail, and now the flop. Jack deuce 4, Devonshire finds no help there.
The likable local suddenly seems beaten down.
O'Dea trying to score another knockout. Turn card, queen of clubs. That pairs both. Does not change the fact Devonshire has nearly run out of chances.
Devonshire, the outdoorsman, is king of the river, and he needs one right now. Devo's got to have a king.
The river card is a 7. O'Dea wins and eliminates the gregarious pro Bryan Devonshire in 12th place.
O'Dea has busted 3 straight players.
Bryan brought a lot of life to the main event, not to mention friends with buckets on their heads. He wins almost $608,000.
Again, would you have that hand? Would you have that ace-10, 8 hand?
At the moment, 600 grand doesn't feel that grand to Bryan Devonshire.
Nice hand.
He still goes out with a smile.
So Eoghan O'Dea stacks the last of what was Bryan Devonshire's chips. Let's go down to Kara Scott, who was with the 12th place finisher.
Bryan Devonshire was certainly one of the most popular players left in deep here in the main event, and you had an incredible rail that you brought with you as well. Did that help you coming through to keep you focused?
I enjoy having the rail just because it's fun, and I like my buddies being here and having a good time. I enjoy the support and a little bit of a hometown advantage when they're cheering for you winning pots and not them, but mostly just a good time for all.
I spoke with your fiancée earlier, and she said that you've got a real sense of adventure, that's part of who you are. Do you think that's part of what makes you such a good poker player?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I think that my sense of adventure and getting me outside helps me maintain a little more chilled out and focused at the table just by getting outside.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Commiseration. Thank you.
A strong finish for Bryan Devonshire, but he falls just short of the greenest pasture. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Lon McCarron along with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Just 11 players left in the 2011 main event with 2 more eliminations. Our final table will be set. Right now, Matt Giannetti and Khoa Nguyen are the odd men out. Khoa Nguyen looks down at ace-4 of spades at the secondary table.
He was born in Vietnam. His family moved to Calgary when he was 5. He began playing poker 5 years ago. Ace-4, not a great hand, but every orbit costing wins 650,000 chips. Can't just sit around.
He is the short stack with 9 million, a raise to 650. Collins on the button with kings.
He didn't play poker till his freshman year at South Carolina's spring break trip to Hilton Head Island. He played a pennies and nickels game with friends.
How far he has come in such a short time. A re-raise to $1.5 million. Makiievskyi in the small blind. Ace Jack on the Jack Links beef jerky hole count.
How many chips you got? What is your stack?
8 more.
Behind or taller?
8 more, so behind.
Anton's question could have been avoided if people had shirts with their correct chip count.
On a re-raise to $4 million from Makiievskyi.
Anton was 4-bet overdue. My man is back!
Staszko folds his big blind. Khoa Nguyen gives it up, so back to Collins now.
Makiievskyi knows Collins could have been 3-betting light, particularly at a 5-handed table, but Collins was 3-betting with a monster. And Phil now trying to figure out his best course of action.
He started the hand with 16.1 million, about 8 million shy of Makiievskyi's stack.
All in.
And Collins pushes his whole stack in the middle.
Total. What is total?
We need the chip count shirt. Collins pretending he didn't hear Makiievskyi. Doesn't want to give anything away.
What is all in?
I'd say approximately 16 million.
Makiievskyi uneasy now.
Well, I don't believe Anton will risk 2/3 of his big stack with an ace in this spot.
Anton thinking of the upsides, the downsides, and finally gives it up, and Collins will take that pot. And 5 million new chips refueling Phil Collins and his backup singers.
If they ever sell a soundtrack to Phil Collins' main event, count me out.
Anton had been playing along with Phil's rail earlier, but I don't think he's enjoying the singing this time around. Anton and Phil with about even stacks now. Back to the featured table, folded to John Hewitt. He has ace-jack offsuit now. Hewitt in the small blind. And he makes a raise to 700,000 to Ben Lamb in the big with 10-6 off.
By the way, Ben Lamb's 2011 World Series is looking eerily like Michael Mizrachi's 2010 World Series. The grinder had 5 top 26 finishes, including a bracelet and 5th place in the main event. Lamb has 5 top 12 finishes, including a bracelet.
Lamb with a re-raise to 1.8 million, knowing most poker players are liars.
Well, Lamb 3-betting their line with 10-6 off. The grinder grinded, Ben aggresses.
All in.
Hewitt re-raises all in for almost 18 million, and Ben gives it up quickly.
Ben retreats.
How much did you move in for?
12.
Huh?
12.
12?
No, not 12.
You have much more than 12, you know?
We got much more than 12.
You moved in for like 20 million.
I'd still be happy if you called then.
I guess so.
Hewitt didn't move in for 12 million, he moved in for 18. He needs a chip count shirt.
Back to the secondary table. Action will open up on Martin Staszko. Staszko from the Czech Republic looks down at 2 red kings.
His father works for a big steel company in Trinnic, and Martin also worked there for a while.
He also worked as a quality control manager in the paint shop of an automotive company. And he's putting chips together now. 675,000 is the raise to Khoa Nguyen with pocket 10s.
Bad time for pocket 10s at a 5-handed table.
Nguyen, the short stack, even though he took a lot of Bryan Devonshire's chips. And he re-raises to 1,750,000. So Khoa Nguyen serious about his hand. Makiievskyi folds back to Staszko and the kings.
How much behind? 6.
Chip count shirt.
It would not work with plaid, though.
All in.
He re-raises Nguyen all in.
If Nguyen mucks it, he's left with 20 big blinds. Tough to muck pocket 10 short-handed, even against Staszko, who doesn't make too many moves pre-flop.
After Nguyen's re-raise, he had to think maybe somebody might repop him.
Call.
And he does call all in.
Call.
And Nguyen's pocket tens in big trouble against the Kings of Staszko.
Nguyen just saw his November 9 life flash before his eyes.
Martin Staszko with a chance to pick up some chips and get us to 10-handed. Here's the flop. Ace 4-5, a big nothing for Nguyen.
Nguyen walking the plank. Don't know if viewers can appreciate the history we're closing in on. Someone from Trinnic may make the final table.
Turn card is a 6. Staszko's king still way ahead.
Staszko poised for the knockout. If Nguyen doesn't hit a 10, we will be down to 10.
The river is another 6. Staszko wins it. And that's the last card Khoa Nguyen will see as a main event competitor.
The poker player businessman did a lot of good business here.
And Trennick's in second place, a step closer to the final 9. The remaining players will now gather at the feature table. One elimination to go before we have our November 9. We are back in the Amazon room with just 10 players left, all making their way to the feature table.
Eoghan O'Dea hired some help.
He needed it as the chip leader. The final moments before play restarts. Mike Matiso in the house, Eric Lindgren, Doc Sands and Erica Motino are here. Meanwhile, Bob Bounahra doing his best to become the first bracelet winner from Belize. O'Dea and Staszko have made the biggest gains, while Anton Makiievskyi perhaps got a little too aggressive at the wrong time. Bounahra and Matt Giannetti with 18 and 11 big blinds respectively. With almost $26.5 million, Ben Lamb in third place. They've taken out the orange chips and added those new beige chips worth $250,000 each.
Eoghan O'Dea trying to join his father Donica as a main event final tableist and make them the first father and son ever to get there.
Can we just make it a November 10?
Yeah.
We did that when we came back. The bowl last felt 6 hands.
At least then they could design a table.
Yeah, just give us 10th place money.
You chop it up,
We'll
you just
see
get a
in
link of the
November.
bracelet, everyone's happy, you go, you know, no problem.
Yeah, what would we
I got
get
no
if we all
problem.
chopped it up right now?
I got no problem.
Can we do that?
I can I think more.
3 million, at least 3 million. Probably
Ben's
more.
close. It would be about $2.8 million a piece if they chopped it up right now.
Matt Giannetti, first to act under the gun with pocket jacks, and he raises all in to $5.5 million, so this could be it.
A solemn all-in from Giannetti. 11 big blinds left.
All right, so how anxious are the others to play with Giannetti?
Well, Giannetti needs a double up, but if he just picks up the blinds and antes at this point, that's $1.2 million. This, of course, the biggest bubble in poker, so people don't come in too lightly.
On the button, Lamb with ace-10, and he folded that to the small blind Staszko with Trey Deuce.
How much is it?
5.5.
That's almost 1/3 of Hewitt's stack. Giannetti raised under the gun. I don't think Hewitt could expect better than a race here with ace-10.
Hewitt seems very tempted here, Norman.
5.5? I call.
He makes the call to put Giannetti at risk and perhaps find our November 9 for this year. But Hewitt will have to improve.
Thanks.
Giannetti can barely stand to watch.
I don't know what to do. I
folded ace 10.
Come on,
You fold an ace?
Ace 10.
Ace 10?
Good luck.
Thanks.
Hewitt made a loose call, and now everybody at the table is rooting for him.
Giannetti at risk. Here's the flop. King 4-8, 2 hearts. Giannetti still a heavy favorite with the jacks.
Giannetti still does not want to look. Hewitt awaits.
Then Lamb folded an ace, so just 2 left in the deck. Umberto Brenes is here. He's here to root on his fellow Costa Rican John Hewitt. Turn card 5 of clubs. Hewitt does not find his ace there.
Hewitt looking for a 2-outer to knock out Matt Giannetti and give us our final table.
The river card is a 6. Giannetti survives and doubles up. We are still 10-handed.
Nice hand, man.
Hewitt could not find his card.
Nice hand, Matt.
Thank you.
So Giannetti doubles up. He knows that against this field, anything short of the chip lead can mean danger.
These guys are extremely talented players. I mean, Look at my tournament record, look at theirs. I haven't even had a 6-figure cash until this one. And I've played a lot of, 10K buy-ins, 25K buy-ins. I played the 40K. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. I've never had a 6-figure cash. I'm just getting lucky, I guess.
Giannetti's a bit tough on himself. He's got 11 World Series cashes, 5 World Poker Tour cashes. Nothing to be embarrassed about.
All the playing experience you've had with these opponents becomes very critical now. 10-handed, folded to Ben Lamb, 9-7 suited, a raise to $1.2 million.
And Lamb already staring down Martin Staszko. Martin's not even in the hand yet.
Staszko with Queen Jack of diamonds, reaching for some of the brand new beige chips. He makes the call. So now to the big blind, John Hewitt. Hewitt, ace-4 off.
All in.
And he says all in, $10.3 million.
What's Hewitt in a rush to get out of here?
I
Weak
guess so.
ace, 20 big blinds left.
Lamb folds.
It is for 1/4 of a stack.
Staszko with the furrowed brow. Gives up his hand, and the heat from Hewitt wins him that pot.
Hewitt gambled with 2 players already in the pot. It paid off.
John Hewitt outmuscles Lamb and Staszko and picks up a few million chips. If we've learned one thing lately, it's John Hewitt will live or die with chips flying. More 10-handed action in a moment. Poker pro Nick Binger registered for the $5,000 pot limit Omaha High-Low event with little time to spare, and it's a good thing he did. He reached the final table heads up with 2009's 50K horse winner David Bach, ultimately shooting down the gunslinger to win the bracelet and nearly $400,000 in prize money.
Third time's a charm. I finally closed it out and won my first bracelet.
$400,000, a nice payday for Nick Binger, but the 10 remaining main event players are all guaranteed almost $608,000. The top 8 will be poker millionaires.
Man, 12th place at the Stud 8 event I cashed in, paid 10 grand. I was screwed.
Matt Giannetti, the odd man out at the moment here in the main event, the short stack at this 10-handed table.
This bubble's not just about the prize money, it's the added value of getting to the November 9.
Pius Heinz with ace-10. And a raise to $1.1 million. Lamb with king-9.
As always, Heinz the aggressor who loves to aggress. And it looks like Ben Lamb is going to re-aggress the aggressor.
He just keeps hammering away, a re-raise to $3.1 million.
Ben 3 bets there, hoping everyone is playing real snug and he can just pick up the pot uncontested.
John Hewitt folds. Now Giannetti on the button. Well, he just doubled with jacks. He has pocket jacks again.
Well, he might have been a little happier the first time with the jacks. He has 2 raises in front of him here. They are aggressors who could just be aggressing.
I'm all in.
Giannetti says all in again, over $8.3 million to Bounahra with a queen, with pocket queens for Bounahra.
Pocket queens for Bounahra, who's also short stacked.
And he folds them.
That's a snug fold, but it had been 4-bet, and Bounahra didn't want to risk his November 9 with queens.
Heinz folded, so back to Lamb.
How much do you have?
8.35.
This would be for about 20% of Ben's stack.
Call.
And he does call. He'll try to drag himself and 8 others to the final table.
Ben knew he had to be behind Giannetti, but he was priced into call.
Bounahra, I guess, was playing prevent defense.
I have jacks. He has king-9 offsuit.
Well, Bounahra might immediately regret folding pocket queens, but I don't blame him there.
Got myself in a bad situation there. At least I know I got some people rooting for me.
Giannetti showing a little more pep in his step.
You fold the king? Anybody? Anybody have a king?
Giannetti polling the table. Here's the flop. 10-6 trade. That misses both of them.
Giannetti back in worrywart mode.
Lamb's one overcard, the ray of hope for him and 8 others.
I don't want to 8 of hearts. It's the king of spades.
Agony. 8 of hearts would be fun too.
King of spades.
8 of hearts would be fun. Let's get the 8 of hearts, yeah.
Ben's girlfriend Amy looking on anxiously with everyone else. Turn card is the 7 of hearts, and Lamb picks up flush and straight draws. Giannetti's still ahead, though.
Of course Ben Lamb picks up a flush and a straight draw. What'd you think? It was going to be a walkover, Matt?
All right, king of spades.
This is the best position Ben Lamb has been in this hand. 15 outs to take us to our November 9.
Good luck, Matt.
Giannetti on pins and needles, the river card, the ace of spades. Giannetti does it again.
Giannetti looks up and sees he's still here.
Living on the edge, Matt. Nice hand.
Lamb couldn't do it, and the double up this time to Giannetti is worth over $19 million.
He can smile.
I guess he won't be joining my Just Say No to Pocket Jacks Foundation. Lamb down below $21 million. He's in 4th place right now.
Bounahra doesn't tell anyone he had pocket queens. If Bob does call there, Giannetti is busted, and Bounahra and the others make the November 9.
I heard my crowd cheer for the turn, and then I look at the turn.
It's like it's a one turn of the deck.
It has been a stressful main event for Giannetti, especially when he knocked out Thomas Gray on day 6.
Thomas Gray's got to have a king, or Matt Giannetti's going to have a lot of chips.
The river card is a jack. Giannetti wins it. Giannetti with 8 million chips. Gray on his way out.
I feel my heart right now. When I saw pain, I couldn't see over your stack. Through your shirt. I'm not joking, man.
Giannetti may yet make it to the November 9, but I tell you, the all-ins are taking years off the back end of his poker life.
Definitely going to be seeing my cardiologist pretty soon.
Might do better just to have Sunrise Hospital on speed dial. Hewitt raised with king-queen off to $1.1 million. Folded to Bob Bounahra. Bounahra with pocket kings.
Pocket queens went into the muck. Pocket kings will not.
The short stack with big cards.
Bounahra, the only amateur left in this group.
Bounahra putting all his chips together, and they move as one. All in for $9.3 million. O'Dea folds, Collins folds, as does Makiievskyi. Yes. Back to Hewitt now.
Can I ever be flipping here?
Hewitt thinking about it, but I don't think there's that much to think about. It's for 2/3 of his stack. It's been raised all in by arguably the tightest player left, and Hewitt doesn't have that great of a hand. Oh yeah, and we're on the November 9 bubble.
Is that all?
9.6.
Bounahra now on his feet, awaiting his fate.
Huh? 9-3.
I call.
And John Hewitt makes that call.
Good luck to you.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yes, Hewitt in trouble. Bounahra in line to pick up a 20 million chip pot.
I think the other players are kind of in disbelief that Hewitt made that call. As usual, Bounahra won't watch.
Believe me, I want the Jack 10-9, believe me. I want the Jack 10-9. I wanted the heart or whatever. I can't believe how people pick up kings in live poker. He should be shoving like jacks, 10s, 9s. Yeah.
Bounahra technically at risk, but Hewitt in a heck of a lot of trouble here. The flop, deuce, 9, deuce. Hewitt drawing very thin.
This hand all but over. Bounahra being gifted a 20 million chip pot from John Hewitt.
We have king jack or king queen?
Turn card is a queen. That helps Hewitt, but his work is not done.
Hewitt picking up one runner there. Now Hewitt needs another running queen, a 2-outer, to bust Bob Bounahra.
Queen! I think I sent a queen.
Will we have our November 9?
I think I sent a queen over.
The river card is an 8. Bounahra survives.
Yes! Go, Belize, go! Let's play poker, guys.
Hewitt takes it well, but he's crushed by his own hand.
Bounahra with almost 20 million, and look what's left of Hewitt's main event, 4.1 million chips.
I call.
There was drama on the turn, but when the board ran out, Bob Bounahra had a stack to play with, and John Hewitt was decimated.
Go, Belize, go!
What a turn of events before the break. John Hewitt made a highly questionable call with just king-queen. He falls way behind the pack, below 4 million now. Staszko over 40 million with a sizable lead.
I guess John Hewitt hoped he was in a coin flip, but even then, I don't know why he'd have that much gamble in him with the November 9 on the line.
Action on Eoghan O'Dea on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky hole cam. King-Jack offsuit.
He's one elimination away from completing the father-son main event final table double. His father, Donica, got there twice in 1983 and 91.
Brunson's almost did it as Todd finished 13th one year in the main event. O'Dea with a raise to $1.1 million.
Makiievskyi trying to become the first Ukrainian to get to the main event final table. Staszko trying to become the first Czech.
Folded to Staszko in the small blind with 5 deuce. Safe to say he'll sit this one out.
Good luck, guys.
John Hewitt now in the big blind. The short stack with pocket trays says all in. Almost 3.9 million.
3.875 still.
Oh, 28.7.
Huh?
3.8, I think. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry.
O'Dea will make the call. And John Hewitt involved in the final table bubble hand again, but this time he's the one at risk.
Yeah, Hewitt was down to 7 big blinds because of his misstep against Bounahra. Hewitt now in a race for his November 9 life.
O'Dea with the King Jack needed less than 10% of his stack to make that call. So here we go with Hewitt at risk now. The flop, Queen 10-7. O'Dea's Broadway draw and 2 overs make him the favorite.
Hewitt trying to smile through the pain, but he is now an underdog to stick around.
Still with a smile on his face. The crowd on their feet.
A 7 would be a 6 sweat card. That'd be the sickest sweat card ever.
The turn card ends it. That gives O'Dea Broadway, and John Hewitt's fall from grace is complete. We have our November 9.
John Hewitt has put on a happy face during this meltdown, but I imagine he'll go back to his hotel room and wonder what the heck just happened.
Hewitt's 10th place finish gives the others a place in poker history as members of the November 9 class of 2011.
9 happy souls and a single devastated one.
They have all come through the trenches, not unscathed, not unchanged, but they have come through together. So this is how the final table will start. Staszko on top with 40 million. O'Dea next in line with 34 million. Holden with less than 25 big blinds.
We've got 7 20-somethings, 35-year-old chip leader Martin Staszko, and 49-year-old amateur Bob Bounahra.
Karaskatis with John Hewitt.
John, let's talk a little bit about the hand with the King-Queen. That was a really big call that you had to make. What prompted you to make that call?
It was just that throughout the whole final table, I was really, really card dead, and at that point, I didn't mind if part of his range has to include like 9s, 10s, jacks, and I don't mind flipping against that range. So I was unlucky to run into kings, and that's it.
Thank you so much.
Sure, no
Back to
problem.
you, Lon.
Thank you, Kara. Another wild entree to the final table. Norman, this tournament never disappoints.
Our November 9, very young, very international, very aggressive, and of course it all just might be a backdrop for the conclusion of the year of Ben Lamb.
It's been a year packed with incredible poker.
I hurt a little bit. My heart hurts.
Oh, let's play poker, guys.
Brutal beats.
Wow. Boo!
And colorful characters.
Ho-ha!
Tough call with all those chips, aren't you?
I'm not disrespecting you. I just asked you a question.
Oh, I won! I won! Yes! Yes!
Trapping this clown, and how's he get me like
Trap
that?
me, I outflopped you. You call me with nothing. You call me with error.
Called you with nothing.
The November 9 is set, but there is still a lot of unfinished business at the final table. For Norman, Chad, and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarran. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.